It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Turrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. And guess what? All this time, for the last 2 weeks, they've had the new Surface Book and the new Surface Pro 4. We'll get their review, the good, the bad, and yes, there's some ugly, next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Turrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 436, recorded Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. A lumpy bucket of features. Windows Weekly is brought to you by lynda.com, the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. For a free 10-day trial, visit lynda.com/windows. That's lynda.com/windows. And by NatureBox. NatureBox ships tasty snacks right to your door with over 100 flavors to choose from, like Asiago and cheddar cheese crisp. You'll never get bored with snacking again. Go online to get your first box at naturebox.com/twit. And by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace that connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/windows to apply for a loan now. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about the latest news from Microsoft. Allaboutmicrosoft.com is the home of Mary Jo Foley. She's here. Also here, Mr. Paul Turrott. They're both in their home base, their home turf. His website is Turrott.com. 1 T, 1 H, 2 R's, and then 2 T's. You supply the vowels. Turrott. I spell it differently every time.
That's exactly how I tell people how to spell it.
The vowels just like the sound.
Does Y count as a vowel in this scenario?
No. I'm excited because sometime in the next week, I hope by next Windows Weekly, I'm going to have my Surface Book. I've even got a sticker to put over the top of it, a vulture. A vulture. Nice. But I understand, and I kind of thought this was the case last week, a couple of people I know already have one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, show me. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, I like that mirror is reflecting, and oh, that's pretty, pretty. So you've had it for how long?
2 weeks.
And the embargo lifted?
This morning.
Wow. Perfect timing.
I know. It was so hard to not tell you last week when you were saying, do you guys have the Surface Book?
I could tell. I'm like, you hit it well, and you did. You lived up to your NDA. But the fact that you didn't deny it vigorously kind of gave me that little hint that maybe you did. And I expected you would. Couldn't think any reason why you wouldn't.
Well, there weren't many of them to go around.
Interesting.
I think there were about something like a couple dozen people got them. Wow. That's it.
Well, congratulations.
I know.
Well, what do we think, kids, knowing that I've already spent $2,109 of my own dollars on one? Better be honest. I guess it's not too late to cancel. What do you think?
I gave it a mixed rating.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
But, you know, one of my biggest points is it's a beautiful machine. It's super well made. It's amazing. Like when I was kind of sneaking it around town and trying it out.
Hard to do because it's so distinctive looking.
I know. Right? People were like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Pay no attention to that.
It's all those things. Like you want it to be something distinctive and cool and really
It looks like you're
built.
in my seat there, Mary Jo. What's going on?
That was me yesterday.
Is that the Jeffrey you're at?
Yeah, I didn't go to Rattle because too many people would be like all over me with the Surface Book. But yeah, that was me yesterday. That's it.
So your headline says a nice laptop, but not my ultimate PC. What? Boy, that's disappointing. Given the pricing is ultimate PC pricing.
Yeah, you know, it was funny when I started out testing it. I really thought this is going to be it, and then one of the first things was I put it on my lap. And I couldn't type on my lap. And the reason I couldn't is the top is too heavy because it has the CPU, battery, everything in there.
Right.
So when you balance it on your lap, at least when I do, you can't type on it because it starts tipping over.
Oh, that's what that hinge was supposed to fix, right?
It fixes it on a
the other. I don't know if this is related to this, but if you look at the bottom of it,
right.
It only has these very small areas, kind of for a bumper. Instead of having feet.
Yeah.
And what I found on the train in particular, I took the non-Acela Amtrak, which is kind of a rockier ride.
Yes.
And it was actually sliding around on the table. Which is very, not just unusual. I don't think I've ever had a laptop do that before. I mean, the mouse will do that, right, obviously. But this laptop actually moved around on the table surface, and I thought that's kind of interesting. And I wonder if that doesn't play a little bit of a role there as well.
True.
And both of you got what model did you get? The 512 gig?
Yeah. We both got that, which was a pre-production model. It's not exactly the one that's for sale, but it's kind of like the one that's about $1,700.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It has the 6th generation Skylake Core i5. It has 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. That's the configuration all of us got. And I think Paul got an extra one beyond that, right?
Yeah, I got an i7 with the dedicated GPU as well. I got that later though, so I didn't have my review up for today. I just don't feel comfortable reviewing it after such a short period of time. In fact, I have to be honest, I feel a little uncomfortable reviewing even the stuff that we have reviewed after such a short period of time. But part of the reason I did do it was because I have traveled a lot, and that's how I like to use these devices, see what they're really like on the road. But I haven't had time to do a lot of battery testing yet. And in fact, on the i5 version of the Surface Book, the tests I have done have been all over the map. And I'm told there are firmware updates coming and things. And like Mary Jo said, it's a pre-production model. I don't want to arrive at any wrong conclusions yet. But, it's still kind of early days. Like we're still, almost a week out before these things ship. The versions, like she said, we got are not full production versions. So there's some, interesting issues there. I've seen that from other reviews. One person I saw had an issue with the SSD, which I've never seen. There's been issues with the screen not popping off of the dock, which I have seen, only on the i5 version. And so, I actually think this thing is awesome. But there's a kind of a weird thing I go through where, as a reviewer and someone recommending this to others, I kind of fall where Mary Jo is, where it is good, but there's kind of some stuff after the but, and it's brand new. I feel really uncomfortable recommending this thing wholeheartedly because there's no way to know how this hinge is going to work over time and how well it's going to work and how it's going to withstand the rigors of daily use and all that kind of stuff. So I would just, it's sort of like when a new car model comes out in Consumer Reports, there's not enough information yet to kind of check the recommended box quite yet. That said, my intention is to use this thing and to use it every day, to use it as my computer docked with the Surface dock and my screen and keyboard and mouse, and to take it on the road and use it as my laptop. And, I've been doing that, but only in a very limited sense, and I will do more of it, and we'll see how it goes.
Would it be? Go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing that made it a little tricky reviewing this is sometimes problems would come up, and I was wondering, is that a Windows 10 bug, or is that hardware?
Yep.
Like one of the things we both had, we both tried this. We plugged our headphones into the laptop at the top right-hand corner, and then I think it was Paul or Brad. One of them said to me, "Now just listen for a minute," and suddenly I could hear the inner workings of the computer.
Yeah. It was like the grinding of a hard drive almost.
It was.
There wasn't a hard drive in it. It was like a mechanical sound.
But then I haven't had that happen lately.
Thank you. Exactly the same experience.
Well, that's weird.
Right. Yep.
Right.
To talk
So
to
that makes you
Microsoft
say
about it, and they have never seen this.
it?
No one has, aside from the three of us, no one has ever seen this before. They can't reproduce it. It hasn't happened to me since. I don't know what to say, but
I know.
yeah, if you picture, I've done this before. I'll plug in noise canceling headphones on a plane or a train where you've got a lot of background noise. You turn them on, and so you get that kind of nice silence. And I may or then I'm working on the laptop, and I may or may not, maybe play a YouTube video or eventually some music or something. if I'm not doing that, what I should hear is nothing. And on this machine, at first, I mean, for that one time, Brad was the one who he pinged us both. It was like listening to the inner workings of a machine.
It was.
It was really weird.
It was.
And when you played sound, that disappeared. In fact, there was a very clear clunk. The sound went away, and then the real sound played. But as soon as you were done playing whatever the sound was, that weird background noise came back. But it hasn't happened since. So I don't. The problem is when something like this fails. Like I had the issue with the screen wasn't coming off of the bass. You do a hard reset, it kind of fixes it. It's a pre-production model. There's a firmware update coming that's going to fix it. They're not worried about it. It's software. They can fix it through software. They know exactly what it is, that kind of thing. Fine. But I still I can't not mention it. I mean, it happened. And and especially with a device like this, this thing starts at $1,500. There are people looking to see what I write about it and will maybe make that buying decision. And I take that really seriously. It's a lot of money. This is a very expensive device, And I think there are certain people like me who are just enthusiasts. They love this thing and they don't, they'll put up with it. And maybe it will be fine too, I should say. I really don't know. Because again, it's early days. But, if there are people kind of waffling over it, like, that's a lot of money, I'm not sure if I should do this, I just wait a little while. I mean, they're going to be around, and they'll refine this thing over time. Of course, there'll be new models and versions and all that. I think it's a really cool device. It's sort of like the new MacBook in that sense. I mean, it's familiar, but it's also new, and we'll see, where Apple in that case or Microsoft in this case kind of takes it over time. We'll see how people react to some of the features that are a little controversial. In this case, like this weird. I still think it's weird. I don't quite get this, but this hole, that is there.
No,
you can see
very
light
bothered.
Right through it, right? Like. I mean, it's
that
weird.
That doesn't bother me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That one didn't get me too crazy.
I'm just worried something's going to get in there, and it's going to scratch the screen, or it's going to mar the surface. You'll
Let's
press
talk about
on
the
it
pen, though. Talking about annoyances.
What? The pen's annoying? Oh, man.
So the way the pen sticks
I've just
on,
looked to see if I could cancel mine.
No, it's not. You know what? I really like this device. It was and is a really great laptop. And like Paul, I'm going to try using it as much as I can. But little things like, okay, they took away the pen loop, which, upset Paul greatly.
Yep.
But
the pen loop works. I mean, Panos Panay made it very clear he did not like this solution. There's something about it, that bothers him. I don't quite understand what it is, but.
Right. So now it sticks on by magnets, right? And so it sticks on really hard. I mean, you can almost lift the thing with the magnet, yet everybody I know says, and then the pen fell off or the pen got loose.
Oh, yeah, it falls off.
I lost my pen. I lost my pen yesterday. It's gone.
The thing that's funny, I mean, I'm not going to you can't pick up this device with it, but.
No, but it's really strong.
But if it's on a table, you could almost pull it across the table by the pen. I mean, the magnet is that strong. If you have like an implant in your head, you don't want to get anywhere near this device. I mean, the magnet is crazy strong.
Well, yeah, I know. So it's weird that my pen fell off twice, and I found it twice. But yes, I think after yesterday, my pen's gone. And the pen's $60. It's not like a little cheap pen. It's
right.
$60. Okay.
It's very clear. Look, they tried this before. Remember, Surface Pro 1, Pro 2.
I know.
The original Surface RT. This is what they did. They had a magnet, and the magnet doesn't work. That's why they came up with the Surface Pen Loop, right? That was the point.
Weren't you saying this morning, why couldn't they stick the pen in that hole?
There's a hole right in the thing. Just stick it right in there, Yep.
I don't know. Maybe they can come up with a way. Maybe. So it's those kind of little weird things. It's not like this thing is a piece of trash. If you look at all the reviews, everybody liked this device.
That's cool.
I don't think anybody said, oh, this really isn't working. It's mostly
silent. Remember with Surface Pro 3, the thing was like a fan or a vacuum
I had
cleaner.
Some fan. Did you have fan?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely comes on. And you can do things like, if you play a game or something, the fan will come on. Mm-hmm. It does come on, of course, but it's still much more quieter than SP3, Surface Pro 3. Big difference there.
I guess the point is that there are a lot of, and you kind of point this out in your review, Mary Jo, there are a lot of other choices out there.
There are.
And this is, I think we perhaps mistakenly kind of assumed, this is going to be the king of the hill. And it's just another choice, not necessarily the choice.
Two things to this. One is, unlike with Surface, the original Surface Vision, there were no real devices like that, right? And for the past 3 years, or at least for the past year, with Surface Pro 3 certainly, Surface 3, you know, Surface has kind of ruled the roost in that market. And now they have these challenges. There are other companies coming out with things that are very much like Surface. You know, in the laptop world, we have many, many established players and many, many excellent machines, including some beautiful Ultrabook designs that are very thin and light. But the other issue I have with this is that I don't think anyone was actually asking for a Surface laptop. I think what people were really asking for was a Surface Ultrabook, you know? And the fact that the screen pops off is somewhat interesting, but honestly, I have to think this thing would have been better served by not having a detachable screen. That it could have been thinner and lighter, and it didn't need this hokey hinge, which I really think is kind of weird. And it's, you know, completely software based. You know, there's no fail-safe switch. You know, there's no little latch you can uncover and click a button that makes it pop off. If there isn't a certain amount of battery charge, or if something has gone wrong internally, software is the only way that thing detaches. So you can press that button on the keyboard all you want, nothing's going to happen. Or you can press that button on the screen all you want, nothing's going to happen. And you're kind of screwed at that point because there's no way to detach that thing. And it would almost be better if it didn't detach, which I guess goes against the whole Surface.
No, but there's a lot of sacrifices you make because you have to now put battery in it. It's heavy. That's why you have to do the hinge. Now it's tippy. I mean, that you pay a high price for something.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if that thing was right. If that was just a screen, it would weigh half as much. I don't know. It wouldn't be as tippy, like you said. Yeah.
When I was thinking about it at the end, I was saying, you know, it would be cool if they could take the Surface Pro screen and attach it to a Surface Book.
Thank you.
Base.
Bingo. The keyboard. Right. Exactly.
And you call it the Pro Book or something like that.
And I don't understand why they didn't go in that direction, because we saw HP a few weeks ago announced I forgot the name of it, but a Envy something that was sort of a Surface-looking thing with a kickstand that has a hardware keyboard that is awesome. We saw that with Lenovo, the Mix 7, I think it's called, has basically a hardware keyboard, right? These things are expandable. So, presumably, a third party could come out with a Surface connector-based keyboard that was a hardware keyboard. It would add some thickness to it, maybe. Maybe you could put some ports. We know now it's a bus. They could put any ports on there they wanted. It would be, I think a lot of people would pay the penalty in thickness and weight to gain that extra functionality. I'd love to have something like that.
Maybe we'll get one. I mean, they continue to iterate on the Surface, right? Maybe this was just, hey, this is for
I just think that would have been better, and this thing could have just been an Ultrabook, and that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
what about the? Apparently, The Verge said they felt there was some lag on the pen. Did either of you have any experience of how was the pen on the screen?
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had nothing to say because I didn't use the pen. I just lost it.
Okay, there's a strike.
The pen, people.
There's one strike.
All right. So here's the thing. When it comes to Surface Book in particular, but in this case, actually, this applies to Surface Pro 4 as well. We're kind of dealing with some interesting Gen 1 stuff here, right? The Surface Book, by design, the entire thing is a Gen 1 design, but more specifically, this latch, the hinge, you know, the latching mechanism, it's all Gen 1. And look, they've got awesome engineers. They did a great job with it and all that kind of stuff. But you know, over time, they're going to improve this thing. You know they're going to get rid of that stupid gap. You know they're going to do these things. So the question is whether or not the Gen 1-ness of that design is an issue, you know, for those people that buy the device. But there's another Gen 1 thing going on that is hitting on the Surface Pro 4 as well, because this is a shared component. And this is that G5 chipset that they were talking about. This is a Microsoft-designed chipset that handles the screen, right? It handles touch and pen. And so Microsoft last year bought N-Trig, which had made the pen, right, from Surface Pro 3, which this is basically a new version of. And now they're taking, obviously, the N-Trig, you know, screen technology or whatever, you know, and they're implementing it themselves. And so inside of Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book, we have this proprietary Microsoft way of doing something that previously would have been done by a third party. It's sort of like taking a trackpad and instead of going with one of the established vendors, you just make your own stuff. You're like, we're gonna make this ourselves. Like we figured it out, And sometimes when you do that, I think there's a problem. I noticed during the presentation, and I commented on it at the time. He held the thing up. Remember, he said, "Look how awesome the pen is." And I was thinking, actually, it looks like it's lagging. And I do notice a little bit of lag on the pen, and I specifically didn't write a lot about this because there's a couple things going on with Surface Book that I want to write more about and write separately about. And one of them is the pen. And the pen is a hard one for me because the truth is I'm never really going to use it. There's just no day-to-day scenario for me where it makes sense to write anything. I'm not ever going to write notes. I'm not going to draw pictures. I'm not a good kind of use case for this, but, I took out one note and I started taking notes and I played around with colors and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that we didn't get as part of these review units, because I don't think it comes with any of them actually, but these devices come with a pen. What they don't come with is the pen tip set. So we don't have all those additional tips. To get that stuff, you actually have to buy a pen. And so I've done that. And my plan is to write about pen separately because I want to include the pen tip stuff. But one of the things I had noted, in working on the review was, there does seem to be a little bit of lag there. And I think that's what it is. I think this is Microsoft Gen 1 stuff, and I think that's the problem. And that's just my supposition, and we'll see how it goes. And who knows, on Friday they could release a firmware update that fixes all of this stuff. But
and that's the other thing, and we got to point it out again, is these are pre-release versions of this system.
Yep.
And obviously Microsoft felt confident enough to give them to you for review.
We have through Microsoft decades of experience with keyboards that they finally called out in that presentation, which I think people kind of forget. This is not new stuff for them. And on the pen side, they've been doing this stuff for actually close to 15 years now with tablet PC. So there's a lot of stuff there. I would say the Surface Pro pens, Gen 1, Gen 2, and then Surface Pro 3, if we kind of consider that Gen 3, have always been excellent. They've always been excellent. And so I'll need to do some more. But I absolutely noticed this. And I noticed, like I said, I noticed it when they announced it. I was talking about how awesome it was. And I was like, And even in the video where they were showing the guy doing the note transcription, I was like, man, that really seems like it's lagging. Like it didn't, I'm almost surprised they showed it that close up because you could really see it not following the pen. So I'm not sure what to say on that one.
But that is the kind of thing the firmware would fix or could fix. So
potentially. And like I said, they've a long history of getting this stuff right. So I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't factor. For me, laptop. I don't know. Pen.
All the reviewers have had glitches of various kinds, and I think that that probably points to the fact that, well, A, it's a first-generation product, and B, it's not a release version of the product. So there's time to have this stuff fixed.
There is.
Right. I will note though. Let me just say, I haven't tested the pen. The i7 version of the Surface I got came with none of the pre-release sticker stuff that was all over the other one. And I have had zero reliability issues with that one.
Interesting.
Okay.
The i5 one, I had the dock issue, and I also had an issue with the mouse cursor would stop working, and I have to not reset it, reboot the machine. The i7 machine has been flawless, and so
well, that's encouraging.
That is supposedly a release machine.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
That one's been great.
How about performance? Because there's some question about that as well.
Yeah. So I didn't put this in my review because this is actually one of those other things. I have a list of things I'm going to do as separate articles. I ran benchmark tests on all three of the devices that I got, as well as Surface Pro 3. And I also installed games consistently across them so I could test the performance of those things. The interesting thing is I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you look at like, 3D Bench or what's the benchmark? Let me look it up. But
Geekbench?
Benchmark. What is it?
Is it Geekbench? I don't know what you guys use on your side.
If you look up the benchmark.
You don't use the Eratosthenes Civ benchmark from Byte Magazine anymore, probably.
No. Nice. No, I can't find a Pascal compiled. I actually was surprised by how comparable the scores were across the devices, even on the i7 version. I was really confused by that. This is on PC Mark 8 Professional. But when you install games, that's actually where you see the difference. So something like Far Cry 4 running on the i7 version versus the i5 with an NVIDIA GPU versus the i5 version, dramatic difference. A dramatic difference.
Oh, good.
And in quality, in frame rate, and just the
you'd
playability.
expect that. As good as Iris graphics have gotten, they're still not anywhere near dedicated.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess benchmarking is not something I'm hugely comfortable with because I like to just use things and see how they work.
I agree, yeah.
For my own personal use, honestly, an i3 would probably be okay if they offered such a thing, or even the M3 would probably be okay, which I'm actually kind of interested in.
I'll tell you why I'm asking. I'm trying to decide whether I should buy Fallout 4 for the PC or for the Xbox.
You know what? A lot of people push me toward PC gaming and are upset for some reason that I am an Xbox gamer. I've done this on a gaming PC recently. I've done it on this i7 Surface Book where you install games and you go through all the rigmarole of games. I do not like gaming on a PC, even though you can get incredible resolutions and capabilities that are not possible on a console. The experience is so inconsistent, and every time you play a game, it ruins the system for other applications. Like everything resizes and like you really have to boot into the system, play the game, and then reboot again. Like it's not a great experience, and has nothing to do with the Surface. It's just the way PC gaming is, and I don't like that. And it's tied to display scaling issues in Windows, and the game will run at whatever resolution it runs at, and then it goes back to the system, and all the windows have resized to that resolution or lower, based on whatever they are. I just find that experience to be kind of lousy. I like sitting down. You press the button on the controller, the console comes up, you run the game, and you go. It looks great. It sounds great. I hear the arguments, but I find the failings on the PC side to be hard to deal with.
I'm just going to have to. I just guess I have to buy it in both platforms, and I'll let you.
There you go.
I would love a portable
Yes.
Fallout 4 device.
Or a license just to have both games.
Ways.
That would be fine. That would be
in the cards. I could play it on the PC from the Xbox using that streaming thing, but I'm not talking about that.
I've also tested. Yeah,
I'm not
very
talking about that. I want to carry the PC around with Fallout 4 on it. Of course, I only have 256
okay. What
gigs,
if you could? What if the games were persistent across the platforms? Right.
Well, that should be sure.
Yeah, I mean that would be fine. So, there could be different executables, different games, as long as things went back and forth.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Battery life.
Yep.
It's got it.
No, I thought it was pretty good.
You got 9 hours, Mary Jo?
I got like 8 to 9.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not running anything super heavy duty on it. I wasn't doing any kind of benchmarking or continuous video playback. I was just doing my regular day-to-day stuff. And it made me happy because it's nice not to have to carry your power cord when you're leaving home. It's the little things, right?
So, I can't.
You said your numbers got really different, right?
Yeah, I had very different results. So, the best I got on Surface Book was somewhere close to 10. The best I got on Surface Pro 4 was actually pretty low. It was like 6.
Wow.
It's 6 something. It wasn't as high as I thought it was going to be. My expectation is that, Microsoft cites 9 and 12 hours across the two devices. Right. I think 9 hours is the same they had for Surface Pro 3. The model of Surface Pro 4 I have is basically the same as Surface Pro 3. So they should be comparable. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I want to say I was getting 7 to 8 hours 7 hours plus certainly on Surface Pro 3, I think. I'm surprised it's not higher on 4. And then Surface Book, there was one trip like I just didn't charge it, and I took the slow boat train, and I got home, and the thing was like 65% battery left or something. It was incredible. But I also had one time where it got 4 hours and 35 minutes or something somehow. So I don't know. I got to do these. I'm hoping that there's some firmware stuff coming for the i5 version that will clear that one up, and I just haven't had the i7 version.
Yeah, that's another one that could very drastically be changed by updated software.
Yep. It's just it's been all over the map.
So
and it's
I
hard
would
to
say
do
that
stuff.
you got to take these reviews at this point with a grain of salt because
Yeah.
everybody's using the same pre-release hardware.
Yeah.
And
you know, we haven't talked about Surface Pro 4, and I think the reason is it seems kind of boring to people because it's Surface Pro 3, you know, again.
Let's talk about that.
But
That's
I
also
just quickly, I honestly, for me, it's tough. You know, I'm almost 49 years old. My vision is bad. The screen is small enough where at a normal typing distance, I just have a hard time with something this small. I'm not big hands and all that kind of stuff. To me, though, the big deal with Surface Pro 4 is that, you know, obviously you get the innards. They've changed everything. They answered all old people's complaints. You get up to 16 gigs of RAM, up to a terabyte of storage, etc. But it's the type cover really that makes this thing special, and the slightly bigger screen. And you kind of imagine they could go even bigger on the screen, but it is the difference between this device and Surface Book is very interesting because this thing is literally 4 generations in. It's 4 generations of improvements and evolution, and you kind of see it like it really feels mature and is there, and it's kind of awesome. And I wish I could see a little bit better. I guess, you know, I'm just kind of middle-aged, but the type cover, I think they've really solved the problem I've always had with typing on this thing. I can type on this thing for long periods of time, and it's fine. And if you compare the new type cover versus the old type cover, seriously, the difference in width is possibly a hair over half an inch. That's all it is, and it makes all the difference in the world. The keys are spaced up better. It's got a slightly longer, typing throw. I don't know the right term for the stroke, I guess. Bigger, much bigger glass trackpad that actually works. It works with multi-touch gestures. That's awesome. And if you like this kind of machine, this is the ultimate expression of it so far. It really is great. It's a neat, you know, it's not getting the press because it's not brand new, I guess. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's not a new thing, but it's so much more mature than Surface Book.
Isn't that
I didn't get
interesting?
one.
You didn't
so
get one?
I can't speak about it. Yeah, they had to ration the hardware they gave out, so
Right.
they knew I cared more about the Surface Book than the Surface Pro 4.
Right. Paul, how's the pen latency on the Surface?
Same.
Little itty bitty lag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, the other thing I should point out, I said this about Surface Book. This thing is almost utterly silent. The fan
Like
does
that.
come on
Yeah.
from time to time. Surface Pro 3, I swear to God, you could blink twice and the fan would trip. It would just sit here like a little Hoover vacuum cleaner going to town.
You don't want that. Yeah.
And the Surface Pro 4 does not do that. And I don't know if it's the evolved, hybrid cooling system they have, which is kind of awesome, or if it's the chipset, which remember, Skylake is 2 gens newer than what was in Surface Pro 3.
Right. They had Haswell,
Some
not
combination
Broadwell.
of the two, whatever, but big difference there. And so I'm not saying upgrade, but if you didn't get Surface Pro 3 for whatever reason, but like that kind of device, this is a great opportunity and much less expensive than Surface Book.
And we should say that we are, I think the chat room saying, oh my God, these guys are so negative about the Surface Book. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think we are, actually.
Okay.
I said I liked it.
Yeah. I think
With
that
the
not
understanding that
perfect.
everything I say is perceived to be negative,
that's just because how
I
you
just
say
said I'm
it.
going to use it.
Yeah. I
And I'm
think
trying to save you from a $2,000 plus mistake. I mean, sorry if that sounds negative.
there's some issues you should be aware of. And
Right.
I think the bottom line is you can't yet call it the top, best, #1 Windows laptop.
No, and like I said, and I guess this is negative.
Priced
I
though
think,
it is.
I think the fact that they call it a laptop is the problem. It's 2015. No one's buying laptops. Especially in the $2,000 plus range.
Right.
I mean, if you were going to buy a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 for $2,000 or a, trying to think what else, like one of those Samsung 15-inch Ultrabooks or whatever, those things are thinner than the base of this thing.
Yeah.
They're much thinner. And I get it. They're not as versatile. I understand all that stuff, but I don't know they must do market research, right? They must understand there's a market for these things. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's the convertibility you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I'm going to try, but I can't. I just, you flip the screen around and you're like, Not going to do this.
I think they really are pitching this as the MacBook Pro alternative, right? And so they really tried to go after this group of people they call creators. And that means coders and artists and designers, people who do CAD. So that was the target audience with these, not people really like us. Although, some people who just want the highest end machine, the best made, the nicest looking, they still will go for that too, CEOs, et cetera. But yeah, I think that's why they built it the way they built it. They were looking to address a market where people actually do use the pen a lot. And
right. It's not clear to me that's a huge market.
Right.
I think an i7 machine with 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of hard drive space is awesome for any pro user, whether you're a developer or a CAD CAM type person or an artist or whatever. I think that it's awesome. I will say, I intend to use this thing, like I said, docked and as a sort of a pseudo desktop computer, and then take it around with me. It is acceptable to me that such a machine would be a little bulkier and bigger, and more powerful than the typical Ultrabook that maybe I would buy. And so it's not a huge problem. I mean, this thing alone in a bag is not horrible.
No.
No.
It was funny. Today, Nadella and Michael Dell were on stage together at Dell World. And the woman who was questioning the two on stage said to Michael Dell, "How did you feel when you found out Microsoft was building the Surface Book?" And he said, well, at first we were kind of like, what? But then he said, I realized when I learned more about the device, it's an icebreaker. And I'm the guy who's going to come in and sell all the volume of these kind of machines. And they have a thing that's in a very different niche that I'm not playing in. And I'm okay with that. Actually,
so what he has described is something we've talked about, but just in different language, which is that Surface Book, in this case, or Surface in general, represents an aspiration at the high end of the market for the PC world. And then between that and $0 is every other machine ever made. And, people may go in and, in the past, people might have thought of computers as a very low cost kind of commodity type device. And so why would I spend more than $200 or $300 or whatever? But now you see this kind of thing and you realize how awesome a PC can be. And maybe this time they spend $600 or $800, and that benefits the ecosystem because it raises the average prices of computers, but it also benefits the PC makers that are actually making those devices, because that's not Microsoft. Not really. Right. I mean, they make a Surface 3, but I think it's Surface Book is kind of good news for the industry in general, I guess, unless it really takes off, in which case we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Well, it sounds like it's not going to be head and shoulders above other offerings. I mean, I think a lot of people would look at that Carbon X1, for instance, from Lenovo, or
right. I mean, it's interesting because the Surface Book keyboard is fantastic. It's awesome. The trackpad is awesome, and it is up there with the trackpad on an X1 Carbon or on an HP Envy X360, which I would say to date is probably the best trackpad you could get on a PC. It really is that good.
Do you think it's as good as a MacBook trackpad?
No, I was just going to say, it is not, however, as good as a Mac. And we're in a different area than we used to be. A year ago, this conversation would have been very ugly. There are a handful of trackpads you can get on PCs, including this one, that are good enough, that are really very, very good. There's something about Apple trackpads when used in Mac OS X on a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, whatever. They're amazing. They're amazing. They really, really work well.
I don't know if you noticed this, Paul,
not quite
but the trackpad worked very differently when you were using Edge, Microsoft's browser, versus something else.
You said it scrolls much better with Edge.
Way better. Yep. Way better.
So what's the other browser? Is the other browser you use Chrome?
Chrome. Yes.
Yeah. No. I think it's because of Chrome. And I think there's because I experienced this as well, where you could, with any mouse, whether it's the built-in trackpad on a laptop like this or a third party, like an external mouse, you could really spend time in settings, right? Getting it scrolling exactly right. And you sit there and you use it in an app and you're like, okay, it's done. And then you run it in Chrome and it's jerks up and it doesn't work the same. And I think Chrome just does their own thing.
Bad programming in Chrome, probably.
Yeah. I notice that all the time.
Yeah. Edge, apparently, according to Amatwi in our chat room, uses something called demanipulation. Chrome does not. And that's the benefit that you're seeing?
I would use Edge right now if it supported add-ins.
All it needs is
it's
LastPass.
just a handful of add-ins.
Done. Oh.
They just in the Windows Insider builds, we finally get settings and favorites syncing, which is awesome.
You think Threshold 2 will add plugins?
No, I think it's going to be later than that.
In fact, I can confirm from people I'm talking to, we're not going to get extensions till Redstone, as I think it was one beta reported this week.
Redstone's next year.
Redstone's like mid next year, isn't it?
Next spring.
Right.
And they're really pushing Edge. They're saying, when you try to install Chrome, they say, now, come on, you don't want to do, come on, use Edge.
Did you get that? Paul, did you get that message?
No,
because I saw some people saying
and I did everything I could to trigger that thing.
Yeah.
I've gotten pictures of it from multiple people. It's real.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's no doubt it's happening.
Apple's doing it too, by the way, with Safari. You don't want to use Chrome.
I have zero problem with this as long as you can make the switch. Yeah. Microsoft doesn't have a monopoly anymore. If they want to push their own stuff, it's fine. There's a benefit to getting everyone on the same thing, right? It's not like I don't know. It's hard for me to understand how Microsoft benefits from people using Edge per se, but having that kind of consistent thing across PCs is very helpful. And Chrome, Edge is honestly, I really love it. Every time I get in there, and especially on a high DPI device like a Surface, it's beautiful. The text rendering is amazing. I want to use it, and I will.
Yeah, I should mention the extensions thing. If you're an insider, you probably will get extensions later this year in a test build.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go.
So yeah,
this is the one thing, man. If I could just a couple of things.
I'd like to use Edge. Yeah. I guess you could use IE11.
You can.
No.
You can.
No.
How does it scroll? Does it scroll smoother?
Nope. Don't know.
No. Not gonna do it.
I think I did try it.
I don't think it scrolls. I think you have to look at whatever's on the screen, and that's it.
And it just stays there forever.
It just stays there. Yep.
All right. I want to
write a PowerShip script that will, make that happen. I don't know.
Actually, I'm studying a lynda.com course.
Are you really?
PowerShell. Yeah.
Are you really? Maybe we should have Jeffrey Snover on one time.
Please.
Right.
Mr. PowerShell.
Well,
I know what I'm getting Leo for Christmas this year. 1 hour with Jeffrey Snover.
No, I feel like if I'm going to move over to Windows, I need that. I don't know. I'm a programmer, so partly that's that. By the way, some people are complaining about the keyboard on the new Mac, on the Surface Book because it doesn't have all. They've kind of combined some of the keys up into the function keys.
I don't have a problem with that. Actually, one of the things that's interesting about these two new keyboards is that they've redone the layout, and the function key is where it belongs, and it kind of acts as a toggle. And you can do something like, just press the function key to turn on function, and then it will use the F1, F2 instead. And you can turn it off, and then it uses the, but it's kind of where the function key has been on most other keyboards. I actually really like the keyboard. I think they did a great job with it.
Good.
I do too. It's really fast to type on it. Really comfortable. Yeah.
Hey, having a Surface device, you can plug 2 USB things into it at the same time. I mean, it's,
Yep.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
It's a beautiful machine. I mean, it really is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to put Fallout 4 on it, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I've been playing. I will probably play Far Cry 4 through on this if I can, just to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a break, and then we'll talk. I want to talk a little bit about the warranty thing. And you have a doc, I guess, Paul. So that's cool.
I do.
I'd like to hear about that.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about lynda.com. Just looking at the pricing at lynda.com. I love lynda.com because it's, we should explain what it is. It's an online learning platform, more than 3,000 on-demand video courses in every area of technology, but also of business. I mentioned they have PowerShell courses. I love Bert Monroy. I always do his Photoshop courses. As you can see, I'm working on Swift. And just for you, Mary Jo, Hadoop fundamentals.
Woohoo! Woo!
Can't pretend to understand much of it. Can't. Nope. But that's what's so cool about lynda.com. Look, they've got an influencer interview with Oprah Winfrey. I mean, it's just amazing. Twitter essential training. Look at this. Migrating from Flash to Tune Boom Harmony. I don't even know what that means, but I bet you there's somebody who does. So lynda.com is for people who want to learn. They're for problem solvers, the curious, people who want to make things happen, somebody who wants to get a better job or get better at their job. They've got stuff in every aspect of technology. If you're interested in programming, and that, programming for me is a hobby, not a profession for obvious reasons. You wouldn't want to run software I've written. But I love playing with it at home, and this is a great place for not just play, for serious. A first look at C# 6.0 just came out. Up and running with ASP.NET 5. And the Foundations of Programming courses, which I really like. They've just got a new one on databases. This is such a great, they've got a multi-part series on Visual Studio 2015. For web developers, up and running with PHP MyAdmin, SAS Essential Training. I actually need to learn SAS. We're using SAS for our CSS. I need to learn, so I'll be taking that one too. WordPress Essential Training and up and running with Python and Django. You could just, this is amazing stuff. And here's the point. One low price, flat rate means you can take any of the courses here, including the soft business skills like negotiation, leadership, management, IT, marketing, photography. It could be for work and for your hobbies. Videography. You can watch and learn from the best experts in the field who are passionate about teaching. Really nicely produced courses. These aren't your grandpa's YouTube videos. You can learn at your own pace the way you like to learn. So it's better than school. You can go beginning to end or just little bits at a time. They have transcripts for everything, so you can search right into all the courses and find exactly the bit you want. You can even download them and watch them on the go, including access on Android and iOS devices. Lynda, LYNDA.com. What we're going to do so that you can get a sense of what I'm talking about here is give you 10 days free, the run of the place. And what's great about that, by the way, is with 10 days free, you can easily take an entire course or try a bunch of them. And I like that. You don't have to declare your major at lynda.com. You get to take whatever you want. LYNDA.com. Lynda.com/Windows for your free 10-day trial. This is so cool. There's so much stuff here. Handmade furniture, the arts and crafts movement. It's amazing. They've gotten better and better. A bunch of weekly series. I love it. Lynda, LYNDA.com/Windows. Try it. Free today. Paul Turrott and Mary Jo Foley. We're talking about Windows, and right now we're talking about the new Microsoft hardware, which comes out Monday. The store will be opening across the street from the Apple Store on Fifth Avenue.
It will.
Are you going to be in line there and waiting to get in?
I'm going to be with Pitbull. Me and Pitbull.
Pitbull.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep.
I don't know his music, but I'll be learning up on it. And Paul, you going to come in from Dedham? You going to take the train?
No. I have to go to Las Vegas the next day, so I just can't.
Oh, yeah, we should mention that. Mr. Campbell's event is coming up, isn't it?
Yes, next week. Yep.
Tell us about that real quickly. And you're going to also, we need to figure out when you're going to be doing the show from there.
We do.
I don't know how that's going to work out. You're doing it. You can't do it Wednesday, right? You have to do it Thursday.
Well, we should look into this. We might be able to.
Let me know.
All right.
Right.
I'd like to plan.
All right. We'll find out from Richard.
Yeah, Mr. Richard Campbell. But it's called IT Dev Intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's for IT folks, developers, and devs in Las Vegas. It's not too late.
Primarily devs, right? I think this year is the first year they've done an IT track, and so this is a new thing, which I think is why we're suddenly involved. And unless I'm missing something, and then I guess they're going to try to expand it, obviously over time. But I guess it started as a developer show originally.
All right.
They have a very good speaker lineup. They've got Scott Guthrie and Scott Hanselman.
Oh, fun.
And,
I love Scott
Jason
Hanselman.
Zander. I think
nice.
Steve Guggenheimer. So it's like some pretty big names in the Microsoft world next week.
Oh, a little Pitbull, ladies and gentlemen.
Pitbull.
Here he comes. That's Kesha. Ooh. All right, just getting in the
I think a Pitbull is the guy who comes in and ruins all those pop songs that he's like a guest star
He's about to do that. Here he comes.
Like, this song sounds pretty good. And then this middle-aged white guy starts talking.
Bald.
He's like, this is what when my daughter listens to music and I come in a room and just start talking to her, this is what a Pitbull song sounds like. You know?
Doc, what do you think? And we're not talking Doc Brown.
No. Not Back to the Future.
Not Back to the Did you see my, I have a flux capacitor on my Android Wear watch. I don't know if you can see it.
Which one is that? What is that?
This is the Moto 360.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's got the little divot there in the bottom.
Yeah.
I really like that watch.
It's even got a Dymo label that says shield eyes from light.
Yes, right.
So the dock, not Doc Brown, the Microsoft dock.
Yeah, actually, where is it? I had to detach it because I meant to do this earlier, but it's detached now, so I'm going to show it to you. It's funny because this thing, it's really small. That's the front of it, so you have the two USB ports. Yeah. And then
it's about the size, for those listening, about the size of maybe a power adapter for your laptop.
Yeah, actually, so let's see, I guess I can bring this over. The power adapter for it is actually
exactly the same size.
The same size. Yeah, it's really funny. The reason I think this is such a cool device, aside from the fact that it has basically the same functionality as before, except even better, it's all USB 3 this time, and it has 2 mini display ports. It's an external device, right? And so it has that, that kind of big plug, but it's the Surface Connect plug. And this just plugs into the same thing that you charge your Surface with. And this means because it's external, they're not beholden to some weird hardware design with latches and mechanical baloney that, the next Surface has to be exactly the same size because it has to fit in this thing. It just attaches to any Surface Connect port now. So going forward, there could be other types of Surface devices, Surface Pro, whatever. It could be in a different size, shape. It doesn't matter. I think it's very interesting. And plus, it's the simplest thing in the world. A little mechanical, magnetic thing. You just plug it on and it goes. You don't have to line it up just right and hope, everything aligns properly. Really, really nice. And $200, it's just such an obvious and awesome accessory. I expect it's going to be kind of a big deal. I think the Surface docks they had before were kind of nichey and we're never really going to take off in a meaningful way. And I think this design is going to put this over the top. I think it's such a great idea.
Good. And so it would be for using the Surface Pro or the Surface Book with a big monitor when you get home from work or when you get to work.
Yeah.
That kind of
Jeez Louise. Yep. By the way, I have approximately 29 phones within my arm's reach right now. 20, possibly.
Ironically, that was a iPhone, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. And which is the point. That iPhone, which is not my main phone, has been ringing all day long.
There's a switch
all day long,
on the left.
and it's loud. In fact, I should just turn this down.
There's a switch.
Right now.
Physical switch. You just flip that.
I don't know what is going on with this thing.
Noise. It'll never ring again.
I pulled it over here to do this, and I forgot because it was over in the corner, like ringing away.
I wish more phones had that physical switch. That's actually a cool thing, and BlackBerry used to have it.
When you called me from Twit on Skype, this thing rang.
That's the
really,
new.
Seriously, it's trying to take over my office. Hey, Paul, would you like us to switch your Groove playlist over to iTunes? It's a simple switch. Just say the word.
Let's continue. Somebody wants to know if the Surface, I don't understand this question, but maybe you do. If the Surface Connect cable unplugs from the dock, is that yes?
If it, yeah.
Does it? Yes.
I'm sorry.
Does this? I didn't understand it, so I'm reading it without meaning.
Let's put it this way. In other words, there's a Surface Connect cable that's attached to the dock.
Yeah.
That's permanently on the dock.
It's permanent. Okay, it's normal.
The other side where the power goes in.
That's of course removable. That's a plug. Yeah.
It's the same plug.
So no, it does not unplug from the dock.
Does not unplug. That's right. It's not a. There's not a standalone cable.
Got it.
Is that what he meant? Was that the question?
It doesn't matter because that's what I asked. So,
Okay.
that we're done.
All right.
And Microsoft has a new warranty. In fact, when I went there to buy the new, because they've added a couple of models of Surface Book, it immediately popped up and said, "You want the new warranty?" So what is that warranty?
So that, actually, Leo, that warranty is not new, but the thing Mary Jo is talk about is.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, I misunderstood.
So there is an existing warranty called Complete, and that's $150. It gives you accidental damage protection, et cetera.
Okay.
But what they're going to add next year is called Complete for Enterprise. So this is because Microsoft's now trying to sell Surfaces in volume to businesses. So they're adding all these new programs and policies to make it more attractive for people who want to buy them in bulk. So the Complete for Enterprise, we don't know how much that's going to cost yet, but it's going to be a 3-year warranty, accidental damage and repair. But they add all these things in for businesses, like next day air is automatically there. There's even some training on Windows 10 and on the devices that's part of the Complete for Enterprise agreement. So it's definitely oriented towards businesses, but if your company is thinking about buying in bulk, they may want to get this kind of coverage just to have it more, make the devices more, readily accessible, readily usable, easy to get up and running right away because of the training and all that.
Awesome.
And they also are adding a permanent business trade-in program. So up till now, they've had occasional promotional trade-in programs where you could take any previous Surface or other devices, other laptops from other vendors, and get some money towards a new Surface Pro. So they're now going to have this for businesses and have a business trade-in program where whatever devices your company wants to trade in can go towards new Surface Pro 4 devices.
Okay.
Both of those are coming in the near term.
Hey guys.
Hey Paul.
Yes.
Yes. I just got some information that I think would be relevant to the listeners of this show.
Oh.
Okay.
Which is the name and timing and other information about the Windows 10 TH2 release.
Threshold 2, yes.
It's going to be called.
Yes.
Could I get a little drum roll, sir?
Yeah, wait a minute. Hold on. It'll take me a minute. I don't have it to hand. Oh, boy, this is exciting. And this news is from some sort of a source. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
Windows 10 fall update.
Windows 10 fall update
November.
1, 2.
It's coming in November. Right. By the way, if you are running the Insider preview now and you look at the About Windows box.
I got the drummer in here. I'm going to put him to work.
You'll notice it says
wait a minute.
version 15.11.
Yes.
That's how you differentiate this November release from the July release.
Stop playing the drum. Okay.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, never mind.
And
yes,
it is coming in November.
Yes.
Yep.
And
yes,
it will be delivered as a cumulative update through Windows Update, not as a build like we've been doing in Windows Insider.
Oh, good. I think that's better.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference because if you're on Windows Insider, you have to download these huge builds.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not clear that it won't be a huge build, but it's build as a build BILLED.
Yes.
As a cumulative update. Not as a there's no out of box experience like you get when you run Windows setup, the builds we get today are they're full builds of Windows. So it's not going to be, it will not be delivered like that.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
The name is the fall
no reactivation
update.
No reactivation.
Yep, the Windows 10 fall update.
The one thing the one thing I hope, given it's going to be a cumulative update, is we actually get told what's new in it. Like what features are going to be in this thing. That would be nice to know.
Well, let's see.
Will it be called the autumn update in the rest of the world?
No.
Because fall has a different kind of...
Obviously, when this thing is released, this becomes Windows 10. And so if you upgrade to Windows 10 after this date, this is the version you're going to get.
Yep. This becomes like Service Pack 1, right? Like the equivalent.
Yeah. All right, so the changes. Let's see. Maybe I should wait on this until
we know
it's
Windows
a lot of the
Store
stuff that's been in the Windows Insider program, right?
Windows Store for Business should be there. What else? Enterprise data protection, right?
Right now, I'm looking at end user features, not. Yeah.
Oh,
so I'll write this up after we're done with the show. So anyway, that's today's show. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. All right. Windows 10 fall update.
But we know no extensions for
yeah. So
Edge.
let's see. There was a thing about Edge in here. Let me look up Edge. It says for Edge, favorites stored in an alternate folder can be imported into Edge. Favorites order is preserved when you import from IE11 and Chrome. Oh, that's interesting. Ability to right-click on a link and choose Save Target As, which I don't think is there now. They have roaming for favorites, reading lists, and passwords, but not yet. No extensions. Oh, and you can launch a second instance of Edge. Is that in there now?
Double Edge.
It's a double-edged.
Double-edged sword.
It's good, Leah.
Double-edged browser.
Nothing on payments, though, right? I think that's going to be Redstone. You know, like the equivalent to Apple Pay. Because we've never seen it yet. We haven't seen any of that yet in any of the builds. That's why I'm guessing that. But
I can't believe it didn't have Save Target As. That's bizarre.
Yeah, I know. Can't even drag like a file to the desktop.
Very primitive browser.
I know. It's crazy.
So we're at 10.565.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa, there's more. Whoa.
This should have been obvious to me, but now that I see it, I know that it makes sense. Obviously, it stays named Windows 10, but for the version, they're using that 15.11. That means 2015 November. That's 15.11. That's the reason it's 15.11. It's the version of Windows 10 that came out in November
2015.
Yep.
Yes.
15.11.
We knew that.
So
Come on now.
monthly I didn't know. I'm sorry. Monthly updates will receive the normal OS build number, and then these quarterly or whatever releases will have this kind of version change.
It makes sense. Right, because we know that Microsoft's thinking about doing these buckets of features at least twice a year or maybe 3 times, I'm guessing. In
buckets of features.
You know, so like Threshold 1 was the first drop of features. Threshold 2 will be the next bucket of features all lumped together and dropped. A lumpy bucket of features.
Finger like
a lumpy.
What? Do I get a Southern style biscuit and gravy with it? What?
You do.
Jeez.
Gravy with lumps.
Lumpy gravy. So 10.565 is the current Insider fast ring build, but there is a leaked build that is that going to be the autumn update?
Well, it's an early version of the.
We're still not. Update. I mean, if it's not, it's still a month off. Is it? You think mid-November? When do you? The
fall update. So what do you do? You just put the term autumn update in my head.
Because it should be the autumn update. Because
I know, but you
fall
understand now.
Is only in the United States.
I'm always going to say that. You've you know what I mean. You've imprinted this term in my brain.
Well, okay. Let me ask the chat room though, because do you say what is that season following summer in the UK? Is it the autumn or the fall?
Well, we can't hold up the UK as like the arbiters of the English language.
They invented it.
Yes, but I don't know if you've noticed the trends recently. They're not really setting.
They're not really
the standard anymore.
It's autumn in the UK.
Right.
Yes.
Autumn is only fall in North America. I just want to point that out. And if anybody's listening to Microsoft,
both of these terms interchangeably because I embrace all cultures.
Yeah, because we're in North America. But everywhere else, fall means something else. It doesn't mean a season called autumn. Yeah. It means a tumble.
Yes, it does. Yep.
So the fall update may not have the. I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Okay. Yeah, they've been calling them spring and fall updates.
Spring is acceptable worldwide.
Okay.
But fall is only used in North America. But okay, so in Canada, they just call it the beginning of winter.
The beginning of winter.
And by the way, it's only fall or autumn in the northern hemisphere anyway. In Australia, it's spring.
Right.
So I think this nomenclature must be changed. I think
Let's go
threshold was
away.
a better name.
Well,
I like
code
the
names like
numbers.
that are never gonna.
But that's not
No.
the code name now. Autumn. Fall is.
Oh my God, Leo.
All right. Not to be pedantic, but I guess I'm giving you a little Twitter.
Here's what I'll say to the fall versus autumn thing. Microsoft is in the United States. The people that make the software live here. They're part of this culture. That's how they
everybody
think.
knows now.
Right.
English is the dominant language globally. Everybody knows.
Yeah. I wish they just did numbers like threshold 1, threshold 2,
Yeah.
threshold 3. If
Or
there's-
quarters. Say it's the Q3
Right,
update.
quarters. That's good.
Because it isn't fall anywhere but in Northern Hemisphere. All right. Anyway, that's what they're going to call it, and we're going to leave it there. And 565 is current, but you guys have been you've been using a leaked build, which is 568.
Paul has,
I
not
have.
me. I don't do leak builds.
I know, and I'm regretting doing fast ring. I think,
Right.
yeah.
So there's really not a lot going on here compared to the most recent TH2, or as we're now calling it, the autumn release of Windows 10. Except for a feature I'm not actually seeing, which is that if you go into the default apps settings and you change one of the default apps that Microsoft pre-installs with Windows 10 to a third-party choice, it really wants you not to do that. And it pops up a dialog that says, are you sure? You know, Edge is really cool, and they really want people to stick with the inbox apps. I can't get it to do that, but of course I've been upgrading along the way. So perhaps whenever the next official build drops, we'll all get to see that. But that's the only thing that I'm aware of that's really all that new. I do get a weird. It's actually a PowerShell window pops up for like some kind of a system backup thing. I believe it's backing my computer up to Russia somewhere, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
I don't know why that's
Is it a
appearing.
dot
but
.ru?
yeah, that's what it's like.
Hello, we have come to back you up.
I think it might have something to do with where I got the build from. I'm not really sure. The point is, there aren't really that many changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be. It's only 3 better than 565.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 565 is now an ISO. So that's the
Yeah, so
first
there-
of these new builds. That's
Yeah, so since Windows 10 RTM'd, Microsoft has released several builds of Windows, post RTM versions of Windows 10 to Windows Insiders, but they've only gone out to the fast ring, and thus they've never been released on ISO because ISO releases coincide with the slow ring deploy. So over the course of the past week, they first made this most recent build available on ISO. And the reason they did that is that build, which was 10.5.6.5, was the first one that added the ability to use your old Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 8.1 product key to activate Windows. And I think they wanted people to be able to test it on a clean install.
That makes sense.
So they made it available on ISO. So it was the first time they ever did that. And then I think it was just a day later, maybe 2 days later, they actually shipped this build to the slow ring.
Wow.
Which the first time they've ever done that since Windows 10 RTM. And so that suggests to me, along with the highly classified materials they just received, that Windows 10 Autumn Update, as we're calling it now,
I'm sorry.
will be releasing. Yeah, thanks. Seriously,
It's Q4.
we'll be releasing soon, early November.
Good.
Bastard.
We're getting close. I'm so sorry.
They are getting close.
We're getting close. Excellent. Excellent. So let's stop here and take a commercial break. And then we will come back and talk about the phone, Xbox, Groove, Skype, and how much did Satya Nadella make this year?
A nice chunk of
A nice
change.
chunk. Probably enough that if he wished to have some nice snacks, he could go to naturebox.com and Satya, you could have this just for the executive suite. You probably should. Keep the Nature Box to yourself. We actually order them and get them for the entire staff. Nature Box treats come. See this nice box? You get different size boxes, but this comes delivered to you every month. And it comes with the bestest snacks you've ever had. And I always like opening the new box Because, you know, they have hundreds of snacks. There's new snacks every month. Sweet, savory, spicy. You can also say, I want the, you know, gluten-conscious version, the vegan version, whatever your dietary needs are. But I can tell you one thing. No Nature Box snack ever has high fructose corn syrup, trans fats. There's no artificial flavors, no artificial colors. It's always good stuff. This is the Sweet Kettle Crunch. Kettle peanuts. Oh, I'm opening this. Kettle peanuts with popcorn kernels. Peanuts, whole corn, sugar, butter, soybean oil, and sea salt. That's it. And it's making my mouth water. They all come in these nice resealable bags, so you can just take a little nibble and put it back. It's so much better than going to the back of the shop and going into the snack, you know, the candy bar machine. Oh, this looks so. Oh, see, kind of like mostly nuts with a little bit of. Oh, that's so good. That is really good. Oh, but wait. Whole wheat chocolate chip cookie bites. Salt and pepper pistachios. Our favorite. We always get these in every box because yeah, and by the way, you can do that. Big Island pineapple rings. The best pineapple rings, best dried pineapple you've ever had. Ever, ever, ever. And somebody really seems to like the Sriracha Cashew Crunch because that seems to come in every bag too. Here's what you do. Go to naturebox.com/twit. Get your first box right now. Healthy, good tasting snacks. You'll be happy to serve them to your kids. You'll be thrilled with the variety, and you'll never get bored. And I think you're gonna love it. It comes shipped right to your door. A snack box just for you. naturebox.com/twit. Unlock a world of taste and possibility. This is your autumn box from naturebox.com/twit. And by the way, Smart Snack Guarantee means if ever there's a snack, you could take chances. If you say, I don't know if I'm going to like that, let me order that. And if you don't like it, they'll just replace it in the next box. naturebox.com/twit. Get out of here. Go away. You can't have any of my Nature Box. Gosh darn it, every time I open it. I know you're the birthday boy and all that, Burke, but here, you can go ahead. Happy birthday. Take my Nature Box, but I'm keeping these. Oh, man, those are good. Sweet Kettle Crunch. Paul Turrott, Mary Jo Foley. We are talking Microsoft and Windows. And did you guys also get those new phones?
Yep.
No.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ask a question you couldn't answer.
No, I'll answer this question, Leo.
Answer it, Paul.
No.
Oh.
They're not available yet.
And the 950 XL. But you have
when they are available, Leo,
you still won't tell me.
We may or may not get them. It's kind of hard to say.
When will they be available?
It's hard to say.
They said November for consumers. We could call them the fall update of phones.
It's the autumn update for Windows Phone.
Yeah.
First, let's talk about the cameras in the new ones.
Let's escape with this one quick because I have an important article to write.
Now you want to write this autumn article. All right.
Yeah. Autumn is in the air, Leo. You know, one of the big concerns with the new phones is that the cameras aren't going to be up to snuff. And I think people saw the 20 megapixel figure and they got freaked out a little bit. And if you look at the raw specs, it looks very similar to what we had previously in the 1520, the 930, and the Lumia Icon. In talking to Microsoft, however, they've claimed that virtually every component of these cameras has been completely updated. And they posted something really neat the other day that kind of described all the changes and then showed off some, you know, photos that they had taken with the devices, and they're awesome. The picture I use is the kind of the hero graphic for the article is a close-up of a plant in the rain, you know, with water drops on it, and it's just one of those DSLR quality photos
Neat.
that, you know, people with Lumias kind of, you know, aspire to. So again, you know, we'll see. We have to get the phones and test them and all that stuff, but that is a gorgeous it's shaking photo, down like this. I think I'm not saying these phones are going to be like the greatest cameras on any smartphone ever of all time, but I think they're going to be up there. I think they're going to be in the running.
The depth of field on this is just gorgeous.
Yeah, they said they redid them from scratch when we were at the
cameras, not the photos.
The camera. The camera.
Yes, of course, the camera. Yeah. But that it's on Paul's page. That photo is incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that, I don't, it almost looks like a macro photo.
You can download the original from their site. And actually, I think if you click on it, that might be the original. When you do, what you'll see is it's the file name you get from the phone. You can tell it's like WP_ or whatever. It's the file. Like it's, awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Now, that's daylight, so there's plenty of light there. But I'm really liking the depth of field, the background. Very nice, creamy background. That looks fabulous.
Yep.
A lot of
if
detail.
If you zoom in to the water droplets, I mean, they're just crystal. Well, I mean, click on is this the original or the?
This is the original now.
Yeah,
so
you can zoom right in. It's amazing.
Look at that. Wow. That is a nice looking camera. And the color is very, very good, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so there you go. It's pure view. 20 mega. Were people disappointed because 20 megapixels was so low?
Well, remember the big device we had before was the Lumia 1020, 40 megapixel camera. And everyone kind of holds it up as some kind of a standard. The truth is, I think the 1020's fallen behind because of speed issues and because the hardware can't take advantage of some of the firmware/software updates that Microsoft has made since then. And so if you have a 930, 1520 icon today, you have an awesome camera experience. These are going to be even better, apparently. So, 20 megapixels of resolution is 4 times a 4K display or something. I mean, it's some crazy number. It's you don't have to worry about, filling up your screen with pixels. I mean,
I don't think I've ever seen detail this rich in a camera phone photo. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's DSLR. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really stunning.
Yep.
Wow. Even with
again, we'll see. I don't want to get too ahead of myself with getting all excited about it, but it looks awesome, and this is the kind of thing we look for on the Lumia side. So, good news.
Yep. What do we? So there's a new Windows 10 mobile out. Again, the color. I'm just looking at these images in your blog post. The skin tones. The red is so hard to do, and this is perfect. DSLR quality. You're exactly right. Amazing. That is incredible. Paul's writing his article. Do you want to? Let me just have some more kettle crunch.
I can tell you. A little.
This next one's Mary Jo's story anyway.
All right, go ahead, Mary Jo.
I can tell you some stuff about the new mobile build. So, Microsoft pushed out a new build, a test build of Windows 10 Mobile number 10572 to the fast ring this week. It came on the heels of another update that they did last week of Windows 10 Mobile. So they're doing this more frequently now. Unfortunately, this one that came out this week has the same problem as last week, which means you have to roll back to Windows Phone 8.1 before you can actually take the build. Although I think Paul said there is a workaround for that. And this one, 10572, has quite a few new features, and that's why a lot of people were clamoring for it and willing to roll back. It includes the ability to test those new Skype built-in universal messaging, calling, and video apps. There's some improvements to Cortana, including the ability to do things like book Uber rides directly using Cortana. You can save offline maps now to an SD card. And then, most interestingly, if you have missed call notifications or you want to send texts on users' PCs, it's now connected with Windows 10 Mobile, so that it's almost like it's all one ecosystem, and you can see the things happening on different platforms depending on what you're using. So that's the latest build. It's getting closer to Threshold 2, which is what we think is holding up these phones. We think the reason Microsoft's not bringing them out until November is they're waiting to try to sync up Threshold 2 on PCs and also on the phones. So they're pushing towards kind of converging the builds towards a common code base. So yeah, lots of goodness in Windows 10 Mobile. Microsoft's working on more builds. They're definitely working on a build where you won't have to roll back to Windows Phone 8.1 first. And they said that's in the pipeline and should be out soon. So if you're someone who didn't want to jump through that hoop, you don't have to. Very soon.
And I'm thinking, Paul's still typing.
He's typing. I can hear him.
I'm not typing. Please continue.
I'm not typing. I can tell you about Joe B. How about let's do the Joe B
more
story.
Joe B. Here we go.
You know Joe B, the guy
Love
with the
Joe
hair.
Belfiore, the guy with the beautiful hair.
The guy with the beautiful hair. One of the chief guys on Windows for over 25 years. He's worked on a lot of different projects at Microsoft on Windows. He tweeted last night that he's going to be taking a little break. And he linked to a Facebook post of his. It turns out Joe's taking about a year-long, not a sabbatical, but like a year-long leave of absence. He said he wants to spend time with his kids and take them on an educational trip, which is semester at sea, take them all around the world. And then he says, don't worry, when I come back, I'm coming right back to Microsoft. But, you know, a lot of people are skeptical and wondering, why is he taking time off now when Microsoft's in the middle of the push towards Threshold 2? He's going to take time off starting in November, which I'm betting he'll wait till Threshold 2 is done, then start taking his time off. But, you know, a lot of people are saying, does this mean anything about the state of Windows Phone? Does it mean he doesn't believe in the platform? I don't know. I'm a little cautious about reading that kind of doom and gloom into this. But I do think the timing is interesting. I mean, we all know he's been working hard. Everybody on the Windows team has been working hard. And his kids are of an age where he wants to spend time with them before they don't want anything to do with them when they go to high school. So, you know, it's hard. I don't know what I think.
What's his title exactly?
His title is Corporate Vice President of Windows.
So is he like is he like the Sanofsky of Windows 10? I mean,
no. Terry Myerson is the one running Windows and devices,
right.
but Joe B. He's like his right-hand man, though. He's the guy who's very influential on all things pertaining to user experience. He's has a lot to do with like the built-in apps, Cortana. So he's very, very influential about the direction of the platform. He's not just some lower-level guy. And he's also the guy who's always demoing Windows 10 in events whenever you see big-time demos. Although lately, Brian Roper, the cruise ship singer, has taken over some of that role.
People underestimate what a burnout job that
I know.
is.
Exactly.
And when you finally get the version you were responsible for out the door, you collapse in a puddle.
You want a break. Yeah.
And you know, to then pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and say, okay, let's keep going is very hard for a lot of people. And so I don't ever, you know, I'm never surprised when something like this happens. This is hard.
It is hard.
And it seems to happen a lot at Microsoft. I mean, you know, each time a new version of Windows comes out, the person who was responsible for it kind of disappears.
Sometimes by choice, sometimes by force.
We don't know. But
yeah.
I think it's just not, you know, unusual.
Yeah. No.
Somebody, For Sampo in the chat room says he's taking a sabbatical like a boss.
He is. He is.
Angel Batista is going to haunt us forever.
Good for Joe. He's hitting Alt F4.
He is. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, what else to talk about with Windows? Paul wrote a post he should actually talk about because it was somewhat controversial where he said only Android can save Windows Phone.
Press send, Paul, and file that story. By the way, I just got to say something. I am looking at these pictures.
I know they're pretty
crazy. And I now want to buy a 950 XL. I am not kidding.
They really are impressive.
This is the flash.
Yeah.
So they're using it as fill flash. There's not many a camera phone you can use fill flash on. They compare it to what we guess is the iPhone in low light. I mean, it's stunning. I would buy this phone just for the camera.
Yep. I think a lot of people would. Oh, and we should give you a little update on the Verizon back and forth. Is Verizon going to carry this phone? Is Verizon not going to carry this phone?
Somebody said you could definitely put the chip in it. Or we don't know.
There's a lot of conflicting information going on around this. Some people say that Verizon's blocking it. Some say Microsoft's blocking it because they don't want to pay for, I forget how this goes, like something to do with CDMA technology that has to be in it for Verizon to pick it up. And Microsoft's not willing to pay because they don't think Verizon's going to sell enough phones. You know, people are talking about FCC violation. All I can tell you is this. I've talked to a few people this week, and what I've been hearing is the door is not completely shut on Verizon, that Microsoft's still talking to other mobile operators, including T-Mobile and hopefully Verizon as well. And let's just cross our fingers. I'm still not optimistic about Verizon getting these phones, and I really wish I were because I'm a Verizon user. But if anything changes or we find out more, we'll be the first to let you know.
Yeah. I'm content to buy an unlocked version, right?
Yeah, but the question we're hearing is the unlocked version won't work on Verizon.
Even then, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that is wrong. I'm hoping, but I feel like if it were wrong, somebody from Microsoft would kind of be whispering in our ears saying, "Hey, it's Verizon."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is someone from Microsoft, two someones from Microsoft did whisper in my ear, and they both said the same thing.
They said
Verizon's
no, right?
out. You know, and these aren't like low-level drone type guys. I mean, these are pretty high up, and I think they know what they're talking about. And like you said, the door is not necessarily shut. And I sort of don't understand a world in which, you wouldn't offer a completely unlocked phone that could work on Verizon. It'd be a nice way to, get around those things. But the problem is Verizon, right? Verizon could prevent activations, which is, would be a horrible thing. Someone spends $550 at the Microsoft store, and Verizon says, yeah, sorry, we never approved this phone. We're not going to put it on our system. It'd be a terrible outcome.
It would be.
Which phone would be the better battery life, you think? The 950 or the 950 XL?
I believe the XL has a bigger battery.
But it's a bigger screen. I don't know.
Yep, but it's also the same resolution screen. So even though it's bigger, it's not pumping more pixels.
Okay. So I'll get the XL. A little faster processor. Could use more juice. I guess I could just wait.
We've held the phones. We get to hold them and look at them, but we haven't really gotten to test them. So we can't really tell you.
That big. I mean, it's only 5.7 inches seems to be the.
I thought it was a great size. I loved it.
Yeah, it seems to be the size now.
Yep.
Everybody's.
And both of those phones will work with Continuum if that matters to you. Being able to plug in your keyboard and your monitor through a dock and use it as almost like a desktop.
Yeah, I think there were some people before who had heard only the XL would work, but that's not the case.
What the dock, you mean?
Yeah, but that's not the case. You're right. What you're saying is correct.
Dock works with either one.
Yep.
Well, and I think pen, there's some people have been back and forth. Will the Microsoft Pen work with either of these phones? I think there was a rumor 950 XL would support the pen. I don't know.
Don't be silly.
If that's the case. If you care about a pen.
Well, right now,
I just lose them.
Email me when it's available. So we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Mary Jo, would it be fair to say you lost your pen in a bar, sort of like I
did. I
kind
lost
of an
my pen in a
Apple
bar.
kind of a thing?
Yep.
Did you really lose the pen in a bar? Did you really?
I did. And so I did. And what's really interesting was I was sitting on a metallic stool, and I think what happened was it sucked my pen out of my bag.
So
I do. I really do. I have to go back and look at that stool and see if it's there.
Damn stool.
Damn stool sucked the pen right out of the bag.
Wow.
I mean, the magnet on that thing is strong. And I searched my bag. I searched the floor before I left there, and I didn't see anything on the ground. So I don't know. Maybe it's stuck to a stool somewhere.
Do you imagine Google will make apps for this phone by the time I get it?
I imagine that every single day.
No, there's a difference between imagining and fantasizing.
Yeah. It'd be so awesome. I can't see that happening.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We'll see. These days with the whole partnership thing going on, plus the patent threat thing going on, that kind of carrot and stick Microsoft has going, you never know. Maybe they will kind of deal with Google.
So, Paul, why did you write this?
Well, obviously, Leo, I hate Windows Phone.
That's
which is how people always take this stuff.
What is wrong with you, Paul?
Since getting back from Europe, I guess, I've been kind of switching phones back and forth for the first time in a while. And, the new iPhone came out, I got that. The Moto X came out, I got that. I used both of them in tandem with their various watches and all that kind of stuff. And, as a Windows Phone user, I really don't like these environments very much. I don't like the Apple user interface. I don't like the Android user interface. But the one thing I really do like on both of these devices, both these platforms, is just the apps, And I think for most people, they either don't care or just overlook the kind of lackings that I see in the UI because they just have all the apps. They don't really care. Like, to them, the apps are the user experience. And going back to Windows Phone, it was very interesting. And it's true whether you talk about Windows Phone 8.1, because I've kind of gone back and forth because of the way the builds have gone, or, a pre-release build of Windows 10 Mobile, where I really love the user experience on these systems. I really miss having apps, And when I wrote the article, I just used a single example because it's really not worth pointing out any, particular example. But, there was the day I'm racing to the train. I got to go into Boston for a meeting. I realize en route I don't have any cash. I have to buy a ticket on the train. How do I do that? And my wife says, well, it's too bad you didn't have a real phone because you could use the official MBTA app, and that works just fine. I do it all the time. And, of course, I had my iPhone in my bag, and so I was like, actually, I could, and I did, and I made it work. It's just a tough thing. And I feel like Windows Phone is kind of awesome, but it's lacking in this one key area. And I sort of understand that by releasing or, shipping the ability to put Android apps just arbitrarily on a phone, that Microsoft is in effect undercutting their own platform. Why would any developer write for universal apps when they can just put an Android, their Android apps just work if that's how it was going to work? I kind of get all that, but I really feel like we're at the point with Windows Phone where we really need to start thinking this way, because developers are never going to embrace universal apps on phones, and it's just never going to happen. There just aren't enough phones, and that this is really kind of the only way for this thing to make this leap that I think it needs to make to be hopefully successful. It certainly can't be any worse than it's been. And so it's not, it's not like I love Android or something. I can't stand Android, but I just like Windows Phone enough that I want it to succeed. And I sort of look at the situation and I think this is one of the big issues, maybe the big issue. It's been the big issue from day one, app. It's not app count, but like app quality too, the right apps.
Yeah.
So it's just a thought. I just had that thought.
The thing that kind of set me off about this topic this week was, I don't know if you saw, there was an interview with Julie Larson-Green, who works as the Chief Experience Officer in apps and services at Microsoft now. She did an interview with The Australian, and they asked her point blank, could Microsoft build its own variant of Android? And her answer was, we will go where the customers are. It wasn't, heck no.
Well, I guess where the customers are.
Android.
It's actually not clear that was a direct question answer kind of thing. Like
Really?
my only worry about that, it was written that way in the article. It's not really clear to me how she,
what she meant.
If that was the exact question she answered, and was that the exact way she answered it. But it was odd to me that in that entire article, that was the only line that was a direct quote from anybody. But
I think I think Microsoft is looking at a plan B. I don't think there's even a question that they're doing this, right? Because if you look at what Nadella has said about phones, it's like, we feel like we need to be in phones, and we'll see how it goes, and we're going to try some stuff. And it feels like he's the kind of person who, if it doesn't work, he's not going to bet on it forever, right? There's going to be a time when he says, okay, we're in it or we're not in it. And if we're not in it, what's our plan B to stay in mobile? So maybe Android is plan B.
Yeah, but Android's a race to the bottom too. It's just, you're just then a commodity.
I know.
And
they've got a lot of
if the hardware in the camera, for instance, can work with Android.
I know.
It might require, some Windows Phone stuff.
Right.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, when you look at the way they're handling it now, which is in many ways less sophisticated, they're allowing developers to take their Android apps, bring them to Windows Phone, and then do the work to disconnect from Google services or whatever they're using on the back end and reconnect to the relevant Windows Phone services, right? There is work, right? There are probably many, many apps, including most of the most popular ones, that you couldn't just throw them on the phone and have them just work. There's probably some work that needs to be done. But, I guess you could look at it like backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, right? You've got this library of apps what are we missing here? We're missing a lot of Google apps. What do we have to do to bring those Google apps to the platform? Like what would, does it make sense to do the work, to have Google, Gmail and Google Calendar and Photos and all that stuff work on Windows Phone? I think the answer would be yes, assuming, they can do that without, I guess, raising the ire of Google or whatever. I mean, but I'm not pretending that this is like the solution that makes, I'm just saying, this is what we're missing, right? It could work. Technically, the possibilities there. Like, we're not going to get iOS apps on Windows Phone, so we can just forget that. I do think a more logical outcome is what Mary Jo was just saying. A year goes by, we reevaluate this. Okay, let's do Android too. As a separate thing.
I mean, they're doing a lot of things. Cyanogen, right? They're partnering with them. So.
I actually really would be sad because I think Windows Phone is
Me too.
Awesome.
I would be really sad too.
I think the best thing to do is get the apps on there. And if it requires writing them yourself, I don't know. I just...
I know.
And they're so close. I mean, a lot of the apps that I was missing are there or coming. Somebody mentions the Sonos app is finally coming. But the problem
is... It's not there yet. There's no mobile payments.
Yeah,
right?
No mobile payment. I don't use mobile payments that much. That's not a deal breaker for me. But not having my bank there, that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah,
it could be as simple as one app for every person.
Well, that's right.
And it's always a different app.
Problem. It's a different app.
I don't commute every day, but if I did,
I don't need the MTA app, but you do.
Right.
Well, I don't normally actually, but if I was commuting into Boston every day, I would.
Yeah.
For my friend, I had a friend who was using Windows Phone, and he used a similar app for parking at MBTA facilities. And there was a Windows Phone app that worked, and then the MBTA changed their, API or whatever it was, and it no longer works, and it never will work again. And now he can't pay for parking on his phone. And he's back to, I don't know if you've ever seen these machines where you like curl a dollar bill up into a tiny shape and then you push it through a slot. That's what he's doing every day, like a jerk, because he's a Windows Phone user. And that's the kind of backwater we live in, and it's hard because you love the platform, you want it to succeed, but you're kind of harming yourself day to day in many cases. And that's the real world, It's too bad.
Yeah. Let's be optimists, though. Let's say Windows 10 does start really taking off even faster than it's taking off, right?
Universal apps.
Then you're a developer and you've got an app that you built as a universal app to run on Windows 10. Okay, now if you already have the core code, the premise is you take that core code and you could use it almost unchanged and just make a phone app really easily. If that really is the case, which a lot of people seem to say is true, then you don't really lose out on anything building those apps, right? You've already done the hard work. The only thing you have left to do is support them, which I shouldn't trivialize, but
here's the problem.
That's the pitch, right?
You're right.
It's not.
You're
so
right.
the pitch isn't you make them for the phone because you also have them on the PC. It's you make them first for the PC and then you just say, okay, I'll do it on the phone.
I mean, but you understand that there are two levels, kind of humps you have to get over here. One is I'm making a new app, like an actual built from the ground up new app. And I'm going to put it on Windows for some reason. Right. I don't think a lot of people are actually doing that. Especially, there are no big new apps on Windows. I mean, that just hasn't happened in a while. But let's say they do that. We've seen you can take the Windows 10 apps, you can shrink them down to phone size. They do. They adapt, they look fine, they work, all that kind of stuff. But there's still no audience there, right? So even though you can click a box and maybe not do a lot of work to make that happen, you're still kind of talking to an audience of zero. I think when people are creating new apps, they go to Android and iOS because that's where the audiences are who buy apps or, get apps. And that's enough work, that this third platform that has these admittedly nice sounding advantages is more theoretical than real. And it's already really hard making mobile apps for both Android and iOS. I mean, listen, I really do want this to take off. And I know there are people who are like, oh, Paul, you're so negative. It's like, no, I'm really trying to look at this very clear-headedly. I want this to work. I'm just having a hard time imagining it working.
On the other hand, I don't think Android is the savior either. That's the problem.
No,
It's a
no, no,
tough
no. I'm
conundrum.
thinking, no. But I am in a very tunnel vision sense. I'm thinking just of Windows Phone. In other words, I'm not thinking of the greater good. I'm not thinking of what makes the most sense. Honestly, the most sense means just get Android. I mean, ultimately, for most people, that's what that means. I'm not ready to go that route personally. I'm trying to think. Well, I really don't think Windows Phone has a chance, but what might work? I'm not presenting this like I have the answer. I'm just saying this would solve one of the problems for Windows Phone. It would certainly cause other problems, harming the platform, et cetera, of course. I want Windows Phone to survive. I want it to thrive.
Yeah.
Having a camera that's head and shoulders above everybody else, that helps.
That does.
People will pay attention to that.
It helps from a perception standpoint.
I know.
You know what the Windows Phone is, Leo? It's the Amiga. Right? The Amiga was this computer that could multitask with floppy disks. It had all these advantages, and they never sold any of them, except in Europe, apparently. But it's the Amiga, like that's a neat feature. People think, there's some people who believe like Continuum is going to do it. Like, it works like a PC. It works like a PC, but the apps you run are not PC apps. They're these like mobile apps. So some of them, it's not full Word. It's like Word mobile. And by the way, I just, and there are no good examples of third-party, high-quality, universal apps. Like, I mean, there are a couple, Facebook, Evernote, things you can get anywhere, but there's no like serious differentiators there. It's a problem, and if there was an easy solution, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah. No, you're right.
True.
You're right. And it kills me because it's a beautiful operating system. It's fast. It's efficient. Really works well with the hardware that's available. Looks great. Great camera. If you had if you had the key, apps, you'd be there. Maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't be there. I don't know. Amiga scarred you so deeply, Paul, that you can never, ever love again.
You can't let go.
You can't
it's
love
like
again.
The people who keep bringing up OS2. Remember OS2? Remember that was a better operating system.
God,
by the way, a lot of
years.
Amiga guys went to OS2, and I remember cautioning against that, saying that you're just making the same mistake again.
That was Dvorak. He was an Amiga guy, and then he went to OS2.
Yeah.
And he didn't give up for years.
A lot of people will be very excited to hear I share these similarities with Dvorak, but...
And Howard Stern was an OS2 guy. Don't forget
yikes. that. Okay.
You're batting 1,000 there.
I hear Putin was a big Amiga fan, Turrott. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
I think you're done.
I think if I don't say anything, maybe Paul will burst into tears. That's all.
He might. He might.
I'm just thinking about the Amiga and what went wrong.
Make him talk about Xbox. That'll make him laugh and sing.
The new Xbox One experience.
Drum roll.
Okay. Oh, do I have to talk about that now?
Come on, Paul. Snap at it. It's going to be okay.
Right. Well, actually, this is awesome. So, we know that Microsoft is bringing this new dashboard update to Xbox One in November. They've been talking about it for a while. I finally got on to the preview, so I have it. It's excellent. And I think for people listening to this in particular, what's interesting about it is it's the first step of getting Windows 10 onto the Xbox platform. And as you might expect, at the first step, it's mostly low-level stuff. And that means, like, they're swapping out the Windows 8 underpinnings for Windows 10 underpinnings, and then you're seeing kind of a resultant performance boost. And so a lot of the stuff they can do for performance on Xbox One, some of it is just fewer steps to get to places, which is just smart design, but some of it is just raw performance. And so when you bring up the Xbox Guide, for example, which pops up as an overlay on the left now, it's actually not lightning fast, but it's quicker than it is on the original dashboard. So I have a write-up about all this stuff. I mean, Microsoft's been talking about this for a while, and other people have written about it. But to me, the big stuff is going to be the Windows 10 stuff. And so it starts with what we see in November. We're going to get Cortana sometime in early 2016. And we'll see more Windows 10 functionality probably rolled out over the course of the next year. But I was joking with the guys from Xbox, like, they kind of went through the whole laundry list of stuff that was changing in November. And I was like, so it's just another system update, basically. Like, yeah, sort of. They've released a new update every month, basically, since this thing came out 2 years ago. This one is probably bigger than all of them combined. It's going to be a big deal. So something to look forward to.
Though, they're kind of staggering the rollout, though, of Windows 10 to the
Windows
Xbox,
10
right?
stuff. Yep.
Like you said, Cortana early 2016, and then I think the other thing is Universal apps in the unified store won't
They're not
be
even
there
talking about
yet.
that. Yeah,
right?
later.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's smart to do it this way, right? Because it's a completely different kind of platform. It's a very curated platform in the sense that they don't let anything onto it until they're really sure of it, and that includes everything, apps and games, obviously, but also just basic technologies, And so I think with this first release, they just want to make sure it's there. Obviously, the goal should be it should be as fast or faster than it was before. There's a new UI that really doesn't have anything to do with Windows 10 per se. I mean, there's obviously some visual similarities, but it's not like you're getting the Windows 10 desktop on your Xbox.
Right. But I did pay attention.
Woke her up briefly.
Thank you. Make you a little bit more want an Xbox One?
Anything? No,
Just
you know
a
what?
little bit?
Anything OS related. I'm intrigued by what they're doing with the OS
I am
and
too,
Xbox
actually,
One.
yeah.
See, what
I
you
don't
need
really
to
care
do
about the
is-
games.
yeah, you need to talk to Dave Cutler and find out how they did this.
All right, I'll
this
work
kind
on
of
that.
weird Hyper-V based system, which, by the way, I believe, the Windows 10 underpinnings probably made
Yes.
backwards compatibility happen, right? With Xbox 360, they were able to emulate a PowerPC chip,
I've
which is
asked
not
to
a
talk
feature.
to Dave Cutler. He doesn't talk to the press.
Well,
Oh, I'd love to interview Dave Cutler.
I know.
yeah, of course, it's the
That's
holy
my,
grail.
He's
of
like my
Microsoft
last goal of like somebody I haven't gotten at Microsoft who I want to get.
I
I don't really strive to talk to too many upper level exec types at Microsoft per se, but Dave Cutler, because of who he is, I mean, he's obviously the top of my list as well. A legend.
Allegedly. It's
No, not
amazing that
alleged.
he's still at Microsoft. That's what blows me.
I know. He's
I
still
know.
there.
He's got to be like 125 years old now.
Not burning out.
He's
He
like
does
the
whatever he
Yoda of
wants.
Microsoft.
Who was taught? We were just, it was during the Oculus Rift announcement. Somebody was talking about how he'd worked for Dave Cutler during NT. And Dave said
you think
to
I'm
him,
scarred over the Amiga?
Dave said to him in the elevator, these are the good old days. And then he fired him. All right,
And then he
moving.
jammed his head through the wall.
You are an idiot.
we can
This will
whip
wake you up.
through these next stories.
Microsoft
Or should we
Groove
just?
Gets
Do you want
gapless
us
playback.
to just do live Q&A or no?
You want? Okay. I'll tell you what.
I don't
Let's
know.
go through these bullet points, and I will
Okay.
queue up some questions. Chat room. Here's your chance. Questions about anything we've mentioned so far. Meanwhile,
Especially
here's some
Airbooks.
very good news. Gapless playback in Microsoft Groove.
Yes. Sorry, I'm listening to my recorded message from Microsoft, who was concerned about something I just posted. So anyway,
It's the autumn update, Paul.
yep,
like to
I
be
don't know why I
clear.
didn't use the word autumn, you jackass. So,
Really? So they actually call you and yell at you?
yeah. So, one of the things that Microsoft lost in the transition from Zune to Xbox Music was gapless playback. And so over the course of the Xbox Music generation, as we'll call it, this never existed. And now we're on Groove, obviously, which is just Xbox Music with a new name. But they are adding it back. And so if you have Windows 10 Mobile, update the phone, update the apps, you'll get the new version of the Groove app. And gapless playback is in that app. It's not anywhere else yet, but I assume it's going to be coming to the web, to Windows 10 and iOS and Android as well. And so this is a nice development because I think if you were to list the top 5 issues people have with Groove, this is absolutely one of the tough. No, Mary Jo shaking her head. No.
Sorry, I was
Top
shaking my
10
head.
Groove questions. Yahoo,
She's
it
like-
begins.
She was like, I'm pretty sure there aren't even 10. but-
Yeah.
No.
Yahoo begins its divorce with Microsoft.
Yahoo earnings were this week, and they were not that great. But one of the things they tried to kind of use as a shield was, hey, guess what? We're going to start doing more work with Google and less work with Microsoft around how our searches are served up. I took that as Yahoo backing away a bit more from its Microsoft search deal because they now have the right to do that after they renegotiated that earlier this year. Microsoft took offense at my characterization and said, hey, they already could have done that. We already talked about that in April.
So
But,
did they
yeah.
call you and yell at you?
No, they didn't yell. but yeah, Yahoo is slowly backing away from the Bing. It looks
Oh,
like.
yeah.
But the
Remember there
question
was
is,
that,
I mean, the question to me is DOJ going to get involved here?
Right.
Right? Because can you have Yahoo and Google do an alliance and basically totally corner the search market?
Previously blocked such an alliance from
Oh,
happening,
really?
remember?
Because, I don't think of Yahoo as a search company.
Well, nobody does, Leo.
Or maybe the DOJ
We're all
still
very
does.
confused about Yahoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters, frankly, who Yahoo's doing business with at this point.
I know.
I agree.
Skype lets you converse with non-Skype users. How could that be?
Well, if you start a conversation in Skype, you can now start it with a URL, which you can send to anyone, and they can do it on the web. And so,
using WebRTC or
yeah.
Great.
So,
Yeah.
kind of just when you kind of hear that, you're like, right, it's kind of a neat idea.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
But that is a different technology.
Well, so I have a little note in the notes here. I wonder if this isn't related to their plans to make Skype this kind of universal communications platform. So they're just starting to roll this thing out.
That would be great.
Yeah, Windows 10, the autumn update, as we're calling it, has various Skype mobile apps in it, and they integrate with the similar mobile apps you might have on your phone if you have a Windows 10 mobile phone. And so you can do things like, actually right now it's just via Cortana, but you can create a new text message on your PC, and it will send it through the messaging app on your phone, which is Skype-based.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, Apple does something like this, right, on OS 10 and iPhone. And I annoyingly get, text messages on my iPad because these things all are connected. Now, Skype can be just as annoying on Windows. It'll be fun.
Yay.
Satya Nadella's salary.
Yeah. He made a lot of money in 2015, but not anywhere near as much as he made last year.
I'm surprised. It doesn't seem like that much for somebody in his position.
Right. 18 million in 2015, including the way pay works at Microsoft is you get a cash bonus based on performance, and he got a cash bonus of 120% of what he was eligible for. So that was 4.3 million as part of his salary. Now, last year he made, if you added everything up, including the stock he got that he actually couldn't cash in, he got close to 83 million, I think, was last year. But that was kind of a one-time deal where he had just become the CEO and he got a lot of stock grants, et cetera. So, right, he did well. He made more than his eligible bonus. And I agree. 18 million is a lot of money, but he's the CEO of Microsoft and he has a lot on his plate.
Jeez. It's like the argument for the president,
Well,
Exactly.
And if you compare it, though, to the salaries for comparable work.
I know. I think
that seems low, frankly.
I know. Doesn't Larry Ellison make some crazy number?
More.
I can't remember what he makes, but yeah.
Well, Tim Cook makes more than that, right? I mean,
sure.
Yeah, does he? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Tim Cook doesn't make $1 a year like Steve Jobs used to.
Yeah, $1 a year plus a jet. Tim Cook salary 2015. Let's just see. $65 million. And Bloomberg calls that a steal.
Wow.
Really? He has the best pay for performance rating of any CEO. So there you go.
All right.
And in 2014 it was over 100 million. So 18, that's my point, is 18, while it sounds like a lot to normal folk like you and me, is not all that much. Yeah. Ellison made 77 million in 2013.
Yeah, I know he made a lot.
And we got 2 new board members.
We may be getting 2 new Microsoft board members, both of whom are women, interestingly.
Well.
One is Sandra Peterson, who is the worldwide chairwoman of Johnson & Johnson. And the other one is, I never can pronounce her first name, Padmasree Warrior, who used to be the chief technology officer at Cisco. They're both up for election to Microsoft's board at the shareholders meeting, which is in early December. And they did announce that one of the board members they have now is retiring, who is Maria Clow, so also another woman, president of Harvey Mudd College.
Oh.
So, yeah, but if they do get these 2 women in, they'll have 3 women out of 11 board members.
That's good.
Pretty good.
It's good, good, good. Will OneDrive... Okay, questions from the Peanut Gallery. Chickenhead21 asks...
Nice.
Chickenhead, yeah.
Will OneDrive allow users to mount to an SD card as they were able to in Windows 8.1?
Oh. In what? In like Windows 10 or
I
Windows?
guess, yeah.
That is a good question. Yeah, they did take that ability out. I don't know. I mean, obviously, well, maybe not obviously. There are workarounds to that. I will need to, I'm going to look into this and see if this is in any of these new. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, that was a neat capability. And obviously, with modern devices that have not very much storage on them, you know, the ability to push that stuff over onto an SD card would be huge. They're definitely going in this direction. You know, the latest build of Windows 10 Mobile adds back the ability to put offline maps from here, from Bing Maps into the SD card, which is where they should be, right? You don't want huge things like that sitting on internal storage, especially if you have 4 or 8 gigs of internal storage. So I've not heard about that specifically, but it seems like that should be a capability. So I'm going to see if I can figure that. That'd be a good article if I could figure it out.
A couple of questions about the stylus. Does the surface of the Surface Book screen feel smooth or toothy? In other words, is there any texture when you use the pen on it?
Right.
Oh, what's the pen? I can't.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
can't
tell you
because you left your pen on a stool.
Yeah, Mary Jo, why don't you bring out your pen and let us know?
Yeah. I
Let's
just
look.
have no idea.
Let's look at this thing, kerchunk.
How's that
Also,
feel?
you know how some cars have a like a recorded exhaust note that the sound you're hearing is not in fact the exhaust.
Yeah.
I suspect sometimes that the little kerchunky sound that the Surface Book makes when you detach the screen is similar.
It is recorded.
Like that
they said it's
It
not
is a
real.
recorded
It's not
sound.
physical.
Oh, they did say it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they
It
said
just
it.
feels that way.
It's
So
fake sound.
it's very smooth.
Very smooth. Slick almost?
smooth.
Slippery, would you say?
No,
It has some texture, some grip.
I wouldn't call it texture, but yeah, there's a grip to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And man,
can
I
you-
still have that little knob thing is behind the pen as I go too. It really is alarming.
It's too bad. Can you use the Surface Pro 4 pen with a Surface 3? Do you know?
I have not tried that, but I believe I can do it right now.
They
Look at
said
this.
you could.
Seems like it's the same tech. It should work. Let's find out. Well, I guess I'll find out later because it's configuring update for Windows 10 4%
Okay,
complete.
never mind.
But I believe it will work.
Okay, we believe so.
I believe so.
Believe so. Let's do a couple more. Lots of questions today.
You know, I'm drawing in OneNote, and actually, this is on the i7, which I hadn't tested before. This is keeping up with it pretty good.
Will we ever
Yeah,
see the...
this is much more natural.
I think we talked about this before, but will we ever see the 10-song credits in Groove that we used to have?
Oh, no. No, those are good. These are supposed to be questions about the new hardware, not questions about...
Stupid stuff. Okay.
What about Media Center?
No, I don't mean it like that.
Where
I mean,
is Media
What about
Center?
Media Center?
yeah,
Where
right.
is Media Center?
Paul, is Media Center part of the autumn update for Windows 10?
I'm looking for questions that are specifically to the new hardware. So, like the question whether Xbox One will ever have true HDMI pass-through, that's not a good one.
You could say.
Oh, somebody asked me if the pen battery is replaceable, and the answer is yes, it is. It's a quadruple A battery, I believe.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's not one of those lithium-ion batteries. It's, those little lithium cell batteries. It's a AAA.
Yeah, I missed when he said no rechargeable batteries. I sort of misunderstood what he was getting at. It's still a battery.
Yeah, it's just
I mean,
not
obviously,
rechargeable.
but you just replace the battery.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the heart rate
you don't
monitor on
charge
the
it.
new Band? Have you got the new Band 2 yet, Paul?
We can't. I don't know.
Can't say. Doesn't know about that. No.
Is there a
sir.
Band 2? I don't recall.
No, no idea. Okay, let's move on. I think we does the pen loop work with the MS Band? Okay, we're
I
gonna.
wish it did.
We're
I
now
really
getting-
Mary
wish.
Jo's going to find out soon because
I am.
We're now
She
getting
needs
into the
one.
silly season. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for your questions, such as they are.
such as they are.
The back of the book, is coming up in just a bit. But first, a word from prosper.com. And Paul, if you want to post any more tweets to get yourself in trouble, go right ahead.
Yeah.
So we have time to do that. Okay. Prosper is one of those things that the internet is so good at, completely kicking the old way of doing things to the curb with a so much better way that everybody should just say, yay, we're going to use this. And I'm talking about the bank loan, the small loan, the loan from your buddy down the block, or the loan from your credit cards. Where, you want to, I remember, what was it, Rodriguez, the movie director? He had to buy film stock. Thank goodness you don't have to do that anymore. And he maxed out his credit cards to make whatever it was, the movie in Mexico. Remember that? You don't have to do that anymore. Don't do that, because the rate on your credit cards is insane. And if you have a lot of credit card debt, this would be a good place to go, prosper.com. You can get a low fixed rate loan, as much as $35,000 in as few as 5 days. And the process is simple. You don't have to go hat in hand to the bank. You just go to prosper.com/windows. In as few as 5 days, you could have up to $35,000 in your pocket to pay off the credit cards, to fix up your house, to plan a vacation, whatever you want. It's your money. Prosper.com. It's the way to get cash you need at a low interest rate. And you can find out what that rate is right now by going to prosper.com/twit. And by the way, it's a simple form, not a lot of information, and it will not affect your good credit. So go there now, find out what your rate is. Prosper.com, and keep this in mind when you need some cash. When the sink falls off the wall in the bathroom and you got to get that fixed. Prosper.com. Prosper.com/windows. And we are so glad that they're around, and I thank them so much for their support. The peer-to-peer lending marketplace, bringing people with money to lend together with people who need money. We're talking Windows. In the back of the book, we start with Paul's tip of the week.
So when you think about all the hardware that Microsoft is releasing next week, right? Surface Pro 4, Surface Book, this new Surface Dock, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people have been asking, I've got a Surface Pro 3. What do I do, if anything? Is it worth upgrading to Surface Pro 4 if I already have a Surface Pro 3? Given the time frame, I would say probably not. I mean, there are advantages to Surface Pro 4, a slightly bigger screen, less fan noise. In fact, you had asked me about the Surface Pro 3. I was going to test the pen. When the update is apparently an update to a new build, because now it's going through the whole upgrading Windows process. But I can hear it blowing air, like right next to me. It's crazy, like how it does that. That said, I don't think you need to spend another $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever and get a new Surface. I mean, I would space out this purchase over much more time by getting one of the new type covers, right? Because the type cover for Surface Pro 4 works with Surface Pro 3. And you can get the normal $129 version, but you can also spend $30 more and get a version that has that fingerprint reader on it. So you can do Windows Hello from Surface Pro 3. And so it's kind of a fairly inexpensive way, under $200 certainly, to maybe let this device last another couple of years, which I think would be certainly worth it. And so my advice on the Surface Pro 3 front is, don't get a Surface Pro 4. Think maybe forward to the next version or two, but space out your current purchase by just, spending $130 or $160. And
it's not that much better.
It's not $2,000 better,
no.
Or $1,500 better.
Actually, that's the problem the PC industry faces, frankly, is they made them too good.
Well, but the other issue is, Surface Pro 3 only came out last year. I mean, we're not talking about a device you've been using for 5 years. If it had been 5 years, I'd say, yeah, please, upgrade. It's great. you just bought it. There's no one who's owned one for more than a year and a half. I mean,
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Use it for 3 years.
If you
at
had
least.
a Surface Pro 2 or Surface Pro 1, maybe.
Oh, get rid of that piece of junk. Yeah, immediately. Yeah. No, I mean, those devices were okay in their day. I mean, the problem, of course, with those is the screen's so small. It's really squat looking. They're kind of fat, thicker devices as well. Yeah, Surface Pro 3 and Surface Pro 4 are on a different level, I would say, from the first two Surface Pros. The software pick is something, it's funny, I haven't written about this, although I've been writing in it for a long, long time now, or for weeks now, is Markdown Pad, which is a Markdown editor for Windows. Markdown being like a markup language similar to HTML for writers. I switched to this not because I was seeking it out, although I've talked to Peter Bright about Markdown Pad a bunch of times over the past year or two because he uses this to write in. And it's a unique app in the sense that you write code on the left and you can see the marked, the formatted text on the right. The reason I switched to it is because I'm working on this book, which we're having trouble publishing, and going through LeanPub, which is the publisher. Oddly enough, they don't work with Microsoft Word natively; they work with Markdown, and they have converters. But this book is complex enough that the converters really did not work well. It would require every single time that we updated the book, going through and hand changing a bunch of it back to fix it, and it just wasn't worth it. And so I figured, well, if I can work in Markdown, maybe that would make it easier. And so we did our own conversion of the text. I started working in Markdown. And before we got that done, I just started using Markdown Pad to see if I could deal with it. And actually, I really like it quite a bit. And so I actually have been using Markdown Pad to write everything that I write for the past, I don't know, month and a half, at least a month.
Does it do all the formatting you need it to do?
Yeah, and this kind of speaks to the stuff, the conversations I've had in the past about Microsoft Word, which I really love, and it is a great full-featured program, but I really only use a really tiny percentage, right? So some of the things you lose going from, well, actually you lose a bunch, I mean, depending on what you need, but for my purposes, I'm really just applying words to a document. And so a couple of levels of headings, italic, bold, hyperlink, that kind of stuff. I don't need in the document to insert images and arrange them correctly, although in the book I do, and that's easy enough. And importantly, and this is actually a key thing for me, I use I use WordPress on the web for my website.
It does Markdown too.
Yep, and I can go right from this into WordPress, and it's perfect. And that's a big deal for me. So that made the conversion possible, And I would say, for Mary Jo, who works in Notepad, and I'm not joking, I mean, this is not a dramatic step up from just writing in, a Notepad. And I kind of like that I haven't done this yet, but if you look at that right side where you can see the stylized text, that's a very basic theme or whatever you want to call that. It's done in CSS, which I can certainly handle. And I spent the time one time to customize Google Docs so that it emulated the look and feel of Word docs, the Word document, the styles that they have there. And I may actually do that in Markdown Pad as well, just to make it a little more familiar or whatever. But I'm also going to look at doing that for the book, just so the book has its own kind of look and feel as well. But it's free. I mean, there's a paid version. I paid for it because I feel like I should pay for anything I actually use for work, but I don't really need too many of the features you get from I think it's called Markdown Pad Pro or Markdown, whatever the name of it is. Pro. It's $15. The one thing I do use is export to PDF, but most of the features you get in the Pro version, I actually don't really need, and you don't have to pay for it. It's free if you just want to use it. Kind of a great little editor. I like it.
Good pick. Not Notepad, but it's close enough.
Yeah, I met Mary Jo halfway.
You did. Like me and you in the Xbox,
Yeah, well, maybe not that close.
Mary Jo has an enterprise pick of the week.
My enterprise pick of the week came from Dell World this week, and Microsoft and Dell announced a new server. Well, it's actually a rack of servers there that is called the Dell Hybrid Cloud System for Microsoft. See, Microsoft's not the only one bad at naming.
Yep.
This is the second version of what I call a cloud-in-a-box appliance. Last year, Microsoft and Dell announced another one of these, but it was aimed at very high-end enterprise customers. The one that came out today uses what the operating system is called Cloud Platform System Standard. And what that is it's Windows Server, it's a bunch of Azure services, it's Azure Pack, and a couple of other complementary Dell services like Dell Pro Support. So the target audience for this thing is more the small business customer, maybe the government and education market too, where they want to run a private cloud in their organization and they just want something really easy. Like they just take the server out of the box, plug it in, and boom, you have your private cloud all set up. I'm sure it's not really that easy, but they are talking about 3 hours from crate to cloud as the promise on this thing. It's not cheap. It's not for you and me in the home. It's $9,000 per month to buy one of these because you're also getting all the services, not just the software that's in it or the hardware that's in it.
Wow.
But if you're a small business who is looking to kind of get into the cloud or get more into the cloud through hybrid cloud, you might want to check out this new appliance. Orders start today, October 21st for this thing.
Great. Code name?
Codename, I decided to stay with this cloud in a box thing. So last year, when Microsoft came out with the first cloud in the box, we know that the code name was San Diego. Actually, a funny story about how I got that code name. I was in Rattle and Hum. Of course, all roads lead to Rattle and Hum, but I was there and somebody who was sitting next to me drinking said to me, "Hey, have you ever heard of this cloud in the box thing that Microsoft's working on?" And I'm like, "No." And he said, "Yeah, look for codename San Diego."
What? You get tips in Rattle and Hum?
You get tips in Rattle and Hum. Who knew? Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I don't know what the code name is on this new cloud in the box, but I may go to Rattle and Hum tonight and see what happens.
Tipsters. You might get your pen back.
I might, except I didn't lose it there. But yeah,
Of course not.
of course not.
And finally, wouldn't be a Windows Weekly without a beer of the week.
So I'm going to make another beer pick from London this week, like I did last week. And the reason is in November, I'm going to be speaking at a conference called Stacked2015.com, which is a free one-day Windows developer conference. And Paul Turrott is going to come along as well to Manchester.
What? Jolly good. Jolly good.
Yes. So we're going to do Windows Weekly live from Manchester together in November, and then also have a meetup the Friday afterwards, which I think is November 20th. So I said, we should do a couple more London beer picks. So this week it's a beer from 5 Points Brewing in London, and it's called London Smoke. I haven't really done smoked beer picks, I don't think, much on Windows Weekly, but what this is a porter that has just a touch of smokiness in it. Not too much smokiness, just the right amount. It's really good. If you can find this beer and you're interested in trying a smoked beer, would be a really nice introduction. It's smooth, like a porter, has all those chocolatey notes and such, but a touch of smoke too, which is kind of nice in the autumn season.
Smoky. You know that Manchester's 200 miles away from London, right?
We do. We're going to take the train
Oh,
after
fun.
that. Yep.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Yep. Yeah.
They probably still have steam trains there.
We'll have our
Joe's gonna
surface
drag
books
me
out.
around London like a
I am.
recalcitrant child,
I've already got his whole itinerary.
Platform
planned.
9 3/4 is waiting.
Mind the gap.
Mind the gap. Well, that was fun. Next week, we're not sure what's going to happen yet.
Yeah, we'll find out quickly.
Nothing like down to the wire.
Uncertainty
I know.
prevails. Well,
Sorry I was distracted today, by the way.
no, you had something to do.
And you got in trouble for it, so it was perfect.
And you had to go spend some time in the woodshed.
You're going to cue the sad Charlie Brown music, and I'm going to call him back.
Yeah.
I watched that last night. Charlie Brown. It's the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Man, TV sound quality sucked in those days.
Oh, my God. I know.
Okay, so maybe it'll be at our regular time. We don't know.
It might be.
We don't know.
We have to find out, what the facilities are, et cetera. Because you're not coming, right? Now.
Well,
So.
the reason is if
No, I know.
it takes us
I
more
know.
time to
I
put
know, I
the
understand.
kid together and get the tickets and all
No.
that stuff.
We understand.
And so we just came down. We ran out of time, and so.
Yep. Aw.
Aw,
Next
I wanted
time.
to
Next
go. IT Dev Connection intersection.
We'll have to have sushi without you, Leo.
We will.
I know. I was actually looking forward to Joel Robuchon.
French food would be good too.
It's not too late to get. I hope it's not too late to get tickets, right? Maybe. Yeah, no, it says you can still register. And Jason Sanders, Scott Hanselman, Scott Hunter. It's going to be great. And I'm thinking at some point there will be a Windows Weekly event that you'll be able to go to.
Yeah.
And it might be Tuesday. And it might...
Right. Well, no, it'll be Wednesday or Thursday.
Might be Wednesday, might be Thursday. You just let me know. Yep. And I'll be here one way or t'other. Meanwhile, though... oh, by the way, we know now the release date of Threshold 2 because it'll be when you're on a plane, Paul.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you. That's
a good point. I am flying in November.
Yeah. Web 8630 in the chat room. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Good.
We do the show. Normally we do it Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. You can watch live. Love it if you do. We have lots of fun. But if you can't, on-demand audio and video is always available after the fact at twit.tv/WW or wherever you get your shows, like iTunes, the Groove Music Player, the Podcast Agent on your phone or device. We're everywhere. Just look for Twit or Windows Weekly. Paul Turrott is always found at his website. That's Turrott.com, THURROTT. NESTLES. Turrott makes the very best Twitters. You'll also find him at Turrott on the Twitter. Mary Jo Foley's at allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's her home on the web. Her ZDNet blog. She's at Mary Jo Foley on Microsoft on Twitter. If you want to send either of them scoops, go ahead.
We'll take them.
Go ahead. Scoop away. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Have a great week. Have fun in Vegas, and we'll see you next time on Windows Weekly.